Hey, how's everyone doing? You are first. Congratulations. Hey, wow. Good for you. Good 5U. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. What's up, Lizzie? How's it going, Lou? What's up? Is it Tehran? I hope everyone's having a great day. Let me get... I said it right, but I said it two different ways. Oh, no. I guess now I'll never know. I'll never know which one's the... Okay, Tehran. Good. Excellent. I guess I will know after all. Well, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. Um, I'm currently looking into a view in philosophy called logical realism. It kind of explores like the truth makers for things like laws of logic, like in virtue of what are they true. And I think the view is quite interesting. Um, the view is basically that there's like something like in reality the laws of logic correspond to. So I think the view that I like, the view that I think I'm going to take, is the view that logic just describes like the underlying structure of reality. That there's like um, there are like structural connections between all of the facts in reality, and that's kind of the thing that logic describes, and that this structure is necessary. Um, so I think I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think the view is quite interesting. I also think that it provides like a defeater for God of the sort that, okay, let's say that there's like this underlying logical structure of reality, and this is what's required to have things like facts. It's what's required to have things like determinate states of being, like if the world is one way as opposed to being some other way. Um, in order to have this, there's like some sort of underlying logical structure to reality that all of these facts depend on for their existence. But then that's a problem that undermines God's existence, because then God would depend on this underlying logical structure for his existence. He can't be the creator of it because there's no reality that's outside of that. But he would have to be outside of it to create it, obviously. He can't be identical to it, because if he were identical to it, then that would just be equivalent to saying that God is like the logical structure of reality. So that pretty quickly collapses into something like pantheism, which the theist is presumably not inclined to say. But also, I mean, the logical structure of reality on this view would kind of be like the thing that's required for a mind. Like if you have a mind, you're going to have thoughts, and if you have thoughts, then they're about specific things. In order to be able to differentiate that sort of thing, you need like this underlying structure. So God's mind would necessarily need to be dependent on that. That's basically the argument. But anyway, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Holy shit!
Nope, I saw that you said Kirk in the comment section. I assume it's going to be like a troll. Okay, make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all the good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence, some sort of reason to think that God exists. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Charlie Kirk!
Okay. I don't know. Is this the new thing, or? I know that people have been doing this to like Dean and Parker. It's fine. It's whatever. It's like a minor inconvenience. But regardless, I currently have nobody in the guest request box. So if you want to come up, dropped a pen already. If you want to debate the topic, if you think that God is real, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of argument or evidence for God's existence. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen all the TikToks of like the one girl that does it over and over again. Yeah, I think it's like fine, I guess. I don't know. It's maybe maybe I just have like more empathy for the situation because I also stream and I don't know the frequency that they're getting at, but I thought I heard from somewhere that they're getting it with like way more frequency because like a lot of those videos went viral. Whoa, is that Anas? Holy shit. Is that the Iraqi psycho still running from me? Still won't give an argument? The peptide pedophile himself? Anas? I saw like a really interesting clip of this dude recently where he said that he thinks that, you know, he thinks that it's totally fine in some circumstances for an adult to have sex with a 9-year-old. It's pretty crazy, disgusting stuff. Yeah. It's over for me? Buddy, it's over for you. You know, you're the pedophile between the two of us. If you want to step up and debate, you're more than welcome to. But, you know, I'm really curious in how you would justify the idea that pedophilia is acceptable. But anyway, make sure you're double tapping on that screen sharing it with your friends, doing all the good stuff. Oh no, you'll give $100 if Iraqi psycho joins and gives an argument for God's existence? That's not gonna happen. This dude doesn't have an argument for God's existence, like pretty obviously. So I don't know. I wouldn't hold my breath for it. But regardless, through the you want me to run through the time logical fallacy? I'm not sure you mean like the time argument or sure. So I guess like my current understanding of like the time argument that I'm running is something like this. So either God's act of creation is going to be eternal, which means that it exists, but it doesn't begin to exist from like a state of non-existence, or it's going to begin to exist from a state of non-existence. If God created, then there's like some act of creation that either began to exist or did not begin to exist. So if it's the first one, if God's, it's the second pen, dude. It's rough out here. If it's like the first one, that, you know, God's act of creation is eternal, then that just means creation is eternal because God's act of creation necessitates that creation exists. So there's just like this eternal necessitation that creation exists. So then creation is just eternal, which means that God never actually creates it. The alternative to that, though, is that God's act of creation is not eternal, which means that, you know, God's acting to do something comes into existence. So then God himself must change. He must go from not creating to creating, which, of course, necessitates that he's in time, so he can't be the creator of time. So either way, you end up with the conclusion that God's not the creator of time. I don't know. I don't have anybody requesting to join still. It's pretty sad. Oop. Did we get the first one? Whoa. I know this person.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, long time no chat. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You?
Doing really well. Yeah. What do you got this time?
Well, I think of a better argument. I think I moved away from the MOA last time we talked. But,
Sure.
Yeah. So P1, I think, is going to be if some contingent facts exist, then necessary fact exists. P2, contingent facts exist. Therefore, the conclusion is that necessary facts exist. And we're going to say that whatever this necessary fact is just going to be what God is, like analytically.
So God is I feel like that couldn't possibly be the case because, well, oh wait, you're Catholic. I guess that would follow, but I mean, that would follow for your view, obviously not mine. The problem is that I probably accept certain necessary facts. In fact, if I'm being honest with you, I'm probably a necessitarian. I think likely every fact is necessary.
Oh, well, if I'm not, that's like the most contentious thing I've ever. Well, I mean, like, when I think necessitarian, I mean, most people that refer to necessitarians, they mostly refer to it as like an absurd position. For example, when it comes to like modal collapse, like Van Weyen's, holy lord, I can't pronounce his name, like critique of PSR, for example. Like, if you accept that um, the BCCF is like necessary, then
Yeah.
that would say that's like a modal collapse, and that's a problem.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, like, I just never heard like necessitarianism be held like seriously.
Yeah, if you want, there's like a good book on a titled "The Case for Necessitarianism." I forget who it's written by, but basically what she argues is that I mean she basically just accepts the PSR and then argues that from that it leads to everything being necessary. I don't know. I think that's compelling.
Well, it would be under. Well, yeah, that's how the BCSF follows. Does is there reasoning like, um, if the conjunction of all contingent facts. Oh wait, sorry. The conjunction of all contingent facts under PSR is either necessary or possible. Um, if they have an explanation. Sorry, if they're possible, then they have an explanation. If they have an explanation, then they're not contingent. Therefore, sorry, hold on. Let me pull this up actually.
Yeah, so I think the argument you're looking for is like if the big what conjunction of contingent facts, like the big conjunction of contingent facts is contingent. Um, so you know everything that's contingent has an explanation. Therefore, the BCCF is or has an explanation. Either the explanation is necessary or contingent. If the explanation were contingent, then it would just be within the set itself, which means that oh no, wait, where'd you go? Okay, I guess I'll finish the argument. So, if it were contingent, then it would just be within the set itself, so it would be self-explaining, and obviously that's no good. But then the alternative is that it's necessary. So then that's how you arrive at the conclusion. Um,
Sorry, when I tried to look up when I tried to find the argument because I had it saved and I tried to find the argument, it made me leave TikTok. So sorry.
that's totally fine. But it's not even that argument. It's just like the more um, it just goes through like all of the different possible chains of explanation that could exist. So let's say like maybe you have like the infinite chain of contingencies, but then that's contingent. So you know that would require an explanation. The author also argues that if you have something necessary and then this necessary thing explains the contingent thing, then I mean either the connection, the fact that it explains it is itself necessary or contingent. So the argument still applies. So eventually you end up at a point where okay, if a necessary thing explains something, then the thing that it explains is also necessary. Uh, and you know there can't be like the infinite regress. Obviously, there can't be like the circle. So you're just going to end up with potentially like an infinite regress of like necessary facts, maybe.
Oh, so I mean, like, is like the two of your points like, under PSR, if you accept that the BCCF is necessary, then you'd be accepting that all contingent facts are in fact not contingent but necessary.
Mhm.
Since like anything that follows from a necessary fact is itself necessary. Yeah.
S-
Okay.
So, okay, but let's say that I did believe that contingent things exist. I also think that they're like very plausible candidates for necessary facts that wouldn't be God. So, for example, maybe you'd want to say something like mathematical facts are necessary or like analytic truths are necessary.
Uh, I mean, yeah, I would say that's true, but I mean, the further argument I'd make is like, well, say that these all were true. Say that all these facts were true, where they're all, holy lord, uh, yeah, where they're all necessary. So like things like analytical facts, like a bachelor is necessarily unmarried, or say that like necessarily 2 + 2 = 4 in every possible world.
Yeah.
Things like those. Well, if we get to that conclusion, I would say that it's more parsimonious to accept that these all kinds of things are equal um, to one type of being, sort of like one type of abstract being. I would say it's more parsimonious because then we're positing only one type of being, in which is like completely simple, not like made up of mere logical parts compared to say like
Oh,
necessary facts which would be a collection.
I think divine simplicity is kind of like nonsense. Like I think the idea that all of these facts are actually just like one thing that's simple, that seems to imply that the fact that 2 plus 2 is 4 is identical to the fact that like 3 is the square root of 9. I feel like that just can't be the case.
Well, I would say though, I would say that can be the case when we talk about like virtual distinctions. I think under virtual distinctions, that can be coherent.
Sure, but it's in terms of like all these various facts. Also, doesn't this commit you to saying that God himself is a fact?
Yeah, that would be it.
That feels like that couldn't be true. Like God is like I don't it depends on your account of like, facts, but maybe you take it to be something like a true proposition. It seems really weird to say that God is a proposition.
Um, I'm not sure if it would be. I'm not sure if that would be that contentious. Maybe, like if I were to say, if someone were to say that, well, like I would just imagine it like this: if 2 plus 2 equals 4, and that's considered a fact, well, I'm not sure why it would be the case that it would seem unusual to say that God is otherwise a fact. Especially when we talk about like under divine, like you mentioned, like under divine simplicity, like any sort of facts we can imagine that are necessary, such as mathematical facts, would be equal to God.
Yeah. Okay, so even that gets like I don't even know what a if like surely saying God exists, like God exists as a proposition, but just God as the entity, that doesn't seem like God the entity could be identical to a fact. His existence is a fact, but he himself cannot be a fact because I don't know, it's typically you want to say like
I
a
think
proposition has like a subject and like a predicate, but just the word God does not form a subject and a predicate.
I think it has an implicative I think it has implicative language. Like if you were to say like God is if you were to say like God is proposition, then like that'd be implicative to saying for statements like God is real or something like that.
Um, no, that I think that can't be the case because then you should be able to embed. You should just be able to semantically. You're saying like this sentence would be identical to like an infinite regress. I'm sorry. Let me pull up like the notepad. I think that that would be like the best way to maybe express the critique. Um, okay, so uh, God equals God is real. Like the proposition, I guess. Um, but then it seems like you should be able to say, okay, then God is real is equal to God is real is real. And it seems like you can just do like an infinite regress of like God is real is real is real is real is real is real like infinitely, but it just doesn't seem like first of all, that doesn't even seem like a well-formed sentence, but additionally, like I just don't think okay, it doesn't seem well-formed. It also doesn't seem to mean the same thing as just saying God is real.
Well, I'm actually not sure if that. I mean, like, would it lead into like an infinite regress, like under the proposition? But I'm not sure if it's that crazy for this type of infinite regress to be real. Like, if we just went on to a complete chain, I'm not sure if it's
Mhm.
incoherent to say, well, the proposition which we speak of is real. So, like something like, well, an apple is real, right? So, like that kind of statement would be like a real fact about the world. I'm not sure if it's that absurd to lead to like
An
get an
app
infinite regress. And
is
you would say like,
real. So
yeah.
okay, I think here's probably but so here's like the strange thing though, because so the proposition an apple is real doesn't mean the same thing as an apple is real is real. Because an apple is real is making a claim about like an object, but then an apple is real is making a claim about a proposition. It's saying like this proposition does exist, but maybe that's consistent under divine simplicity. But I guess to me, it just seems like obviously false to say that God is like a proposition.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we're speaking past these. I don't say that, but I mean, like to me, that doesn't seem coherent. I think intuition. I think under my intuitions, I would say that's pretty consistent with like. I would just overall say that's coherent. I mean, if someone were to say to me like, the proposition an apple is real is a real and true proposition, well, I mean, like to me, it would be like it seems to say that implicatively, like it's making the claim that an apple is real anyway.
Well, I agree. Both of those things can be true. The problem is that my claim is that they're not identical. They like pretty clearly refer to different things. Saying an apple is real is different from saying like an apple is real is real.
I think they're the same by like an implicative reason. I think like we talk about the relationships between the sentences. I think it is different from just saying like an apple is real rather than saying like the statement the apple is real is real. But I think it makes the same like conclusions about the kinds of facts we have.
That would seem to imply that an apple is a proposition, like just the apple itself is a proposition.
Yeah, sure. I think I'd accept that.
Come on, you don't want to. You're smarter than that. Don't do that.
I don't know. Like I would say like. Well, maybe it would be
You can
like
just say that you don't
maybe-
know if you're not really sure what to say. But
Well, I
come
never had this critique, so I'm just like responding to it best I can.
yep, that's okay. Well, yeah, you're doing fine. But yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I could respond with something like this. Well, if God is equal to, okay, if like maybe it would be better to say something like this. Like, the reason why God would be the statement in which like God is right. Like, it's the same as saying God is real because of divine simplicity. And then, while like apples don't carry the same divine simplicity, therefore the statement like apple versus apples are real are going to be in reference to different things.
Sure. Okay. So there's like a couple of routes that I think I can go. I think that might be like a coherent solution to it. Maybe, but if you commit yourself to the proposition you commit yourself to the proposition that God is a proposition, then you're going to be saying that God is truth apt, but then also God is identical to truth. So God is like God apt. He's like a God bearer, like God bears himself. It just seems like there's like a bunch of weirdness, like a bunch of like obvious, like I know divine simplicity. You have like a totally different set of like intuitions with respect to God talk, but saying like God is a God bearer, I don't know. That just sounds like gibberish to me.
I think under like first order logic or predicate logic, that's true. I think that like I would say that is a pretty queer thing to say. I don't know. Maybe this results in divine simplicity being queer, but
well, I think it already is, right? But yeah.
Oh, I think like when we say like maybe it is. I don't know, because I don't like accepting queer things, but maybe I might have to, or maybe I'll change my view on God's nature.
You should really start accepting yourself. I'm sad to hear that. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, I know what you mean.
So I think divine simplicity. Well, here's the problem. I think that this is like kind of the least plausible piece of Christianity is that I think kind of all of the evidence, all of the church history, all the miracles, all the moral fruits points towards Catholicism being the true one. And then I think divine simplicity is like obviously false.
Oh, wait, what was the first part you said?
Like, I think if Christianity were true, then it would need to be Catholicism that's the true denomination. I think Protestantism is like gibberish. Like Jesus would just be like some idiot that like Jesus. If Protestantism is true, then the principal task of God, or like the principal task of people, is to evaluate the true church based on our own readings of the Bible. And this is the task that Jesus set out, thousands of years before people would be literate. He gave the task that could only be accomplished by reading the book to a group of like illiterate people. That's like nonsense. I think that there's like a lot that goes into Catholicism being like probably the true denomination of Christianity is true. But then Catholicism has like the worst metaphysics of all time. Like the Catholic metaphysics is crazy.
Not too much. I mean, like Orthodox. I would say Orthodox, like view on God's nature is worse.
That could be true. They also hold to simplicity, but then I don't even know how you make sense of simplicity and the energy essence distinction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna flame Orthodox. I think, someone said that that's not like the Protestant position. I haven't read that much on Protestantism, so I'm not like 100%. If you're right on that, but I mean, I think you can make a good argument for Orthodoxy. As far as its metaphysics, I don't know. Like energy, I haven't heard many people argue for any energy essence distinction besides like, what's that guy's name? Jay Dyer.
Yeah, the GOAT, philosophical titan, rhetorical juggernaut.
Yeah. the genius of our age.
Yes, truly. So
I should take the L though.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Listen, this is why I love talking with you, is because you get better. You like reevaluate your arguments. But I think probably the most common critique that you'll run into with this argument is that I think the critique you're going to run into with this argument is that there are lots of other candidates for necessary propositions, or necessary facts. Also, it really doesn't seem like God is a fact. Maybe like the existence of God is the thing that you're saying is necessary, but yeah.
I mean, like another problem. Well, I mean, my divine simplicity view might also runs into like modal collapse, and so does my PSR view.
True.
I think a lot of people will point that out as like, I think actually one of the first critiques I ever got, I didn't understand it at first, was I can never pronounce his name, Van Huygens or whatever. Von Eguens. It starts with an I. His last name. I don't know.
Vanenwagen. Peter Vanenwagen.
Yeah. I think that was one of the first ones I got. I didn't understand it because I didn't know what the BCCF was until, like just recently actually. But I mean, like that's one of the problems I have because like I think I have other reasons to deny necessitarianism, and then obviously like. The other point of saying it's contingent is also a problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I'm very against necessitarianism, even if I was like, even if I wasn't a theist or Catholic or something. I don't think I would accept it. I think I have a problem with it.
Yeah. My understanding is that modal collapse is like a pretty serious objection to simplicity.
Yeah. Most people have a similar. Most people who defend against modal collapse use a similar answer that some people that defend PSR do against the BCSF reductio.
Do you know what the answer is? I'm super curious. I've ran modal collapse a couple of times, but I haven't heard like a good answer to it. Wait, I should probably inform the audience like what's going on to get them all up to speed. Okay, so okay, so divine simplicity is this. Divine simplicity is the idea that God lacks parts, that there is no part of God. There's just like one simple thing, and that's what God is, just his substance. Like there are no parts, but then that means that everything that you want to say that God has is just going to be identical to God. So, for example, God's will is identical to God, and God's act is identical to God, and God's existence is identical to God, and God's essence is identical to God. And in fact, all these things are identical to each other. But one of the common critiques of this is because God's existence is necessary, that means that God's act of creation must also be necessary because God's existence is identical to his act of creation, which means that necessarily God creates. And then you probably take it even farther. I know people argue from that the fact that God necessarily creates, that there's like some further necessitarian commitment. Although I think you're probably in a bad place as soon as you've gotten to like God necessarily creates, especially if you're Catholic, because one of the dogmatic commitments is that God created freely.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, well, I mean, anyone would say like once you accept that the universe is necessary, literally everything else is necessary because
Mm.
everything else follows from the universe. But um, what one of the common answers to this is like actually I think identical to what people say for PSR, and that being that like um, the mind in which creates things or the explanation in which leads to things could have logically been something else. Like um, uh, there's no like preferable kind of universe, and so the kinds of universes that are preferable are infinitely many. So it's like of the being's free will to choose either of these. So therefore, because it could have otherwise been different, the universe itself isn't necessary. Which I mean, a lot of people point out is like, well, under normal modal semantics, like anything following from a necessary thing is going to be necessary as well. So that's an answer. That's a counter argument to these kinds of views.
So that seems like it. Maybe I'm not understanding the solution, but that feels like it doesn't work. So it seems like if that's what they want to say is that it like could have been otherwise, it's logically possible that like God's mind could have been otherwise, or maybe like God's choice to create this exact timeline could have been otherwise. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
God's existence is identical to his choice to create this exact timeline. So that seems to collapse also to necessitarianism because God's existence is necessary. His existence is identical to his choice to create this exact timeline. Therefore, his choice to create this exact timeline is necessary.
Well, I haven't read up much on this because I literally only just learned about the BCSF. But I mean, um, like I think what's trying to get argued is like if the universe logically could have been created differently, um, but like it's equally preferable to the kind of universe that was created, um, then like the universe can't be necessary because it logically could have been made differently.
But doesn't God choose to create this exact universe?
Yeah, but like it's argued that it's not especially preferable. So like if God's perfect, then he chooses the most preferable kind of creation, and if that's the case, then if there are other universes which are equally preferable, then his choice to create something else is of like his nature of free will. But because it was otherwise could have been different, it's still technically contingent.
In what circumstances could it have been different?
Um, I'm not like I can't say exactly. Like I'm not even
That's
sure.
okay. That's okay.
Access to that, but
Um,
I mean,
yeah, I mean, like I enjoy talking to you. I don't want to be like rude to you or whatever, but I don't think that resolves the problem for me.
yeah, I mean, I struggle with it too. Like I don't even think that's a good answer because I mean, just the very fact that necessary things like under typical modal logic, and I'm a very like classical guy when it comes to modal logic.
Mm,
It's very difficult for me to say that to agree with that.
yeah, definitely. Um, well, hey, is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Otherwise, I might move on to the next guest.
Not really, you cooked me, bro.
That's okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on up. This
Yeah,
is
you have a
why.
good day.
Yep, absolutely. You too. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. That was like a turbo good faith interlocutor. Maybe we should Molly, maybe we should clip this one. That dude's like super good faith. All the people are demanding good faith interactions. All right. Let's read some supers. Pooh Bear thought, thanks so much for the super chat. Can't browse the Discord at work because iOS. How am I supposed to adequately slack off? Please ignore the SEP and IEP exist for the purposes of this wine. True. Gosh, you gotta what? Oh, sure. Where's the answer? Where should I find this? I know that there's like an explanation for how you do that. I think you have to go into your settings. I know that there's a way to overcome it. You go to your Discord settings through browser. You have to access it through your browser. If you're okay, listen, this is a PSA for all the people who are in the Discord, but the Discord says age restricted. Here's how you get into it. Also, okay, wait. Caveat: only join the Discord if you're 18 or older. If you're younger than 18, don't join the Discord. The Discord is 18 or older. Please respect our boundaries. Okay. So you go to Discord settings and then the content and social, and then allow age restricted servers. Once again, you go into Discord settings in your web browser, and then you go to content and social, and then allow age restricted servers on iOS. That's how you get around it. Rebaffle, thanks so much for the $6 Cash App. Not enough chains. Not nearly enough chains. I don't know where I put the chains. I know it's my bad. I literally set them aside somewhere and I can't find them anymore. I'll find them. It was just yesterday, so they're probably around here somewhere in like a place that I usually look. Tree, thank you so much for the $50 Venmo. I saw this last night. Sorry I didn't read it. I get paid, you get paid. I really appreciate that. Let's get a big W for Tree. Massive W, Tree. Thank you so much, and it's great to see you at the book club. It's great to have you in the community. Lou, thanks so much for the 12-month subscription. It's a great Greg. 12 months, Lou. Thank you so much. Thanks for being in the community. You know we couldn't do this without you. It's fantastic to have you in the community. It's fantastic to have a person who's as dedicated, as interested in all of it as you are. It's great to see you at the book club too. Thanks so much. We really appreciate you. And Lou, thanks so much for the $5 dues. Appreciate you. Is it crikey? I appreciate you. Something like that. Is that? I bet it probably sounds something like that. All right. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad, Ian. How are you doing today?
Doing well, doing well. How old are you?
Awesome. I love having conversations with you.
Yeah. I love having conversations with you too, I bet. But how old are you and what religion are you?
I don't believe in religion itself. I believe there's a God. I don't believe in religion.
Sure.
I think religion is man's doctrine.
Do you believe that there's like a mind that created the universe?
There is. I think there's. I don't. It wouldn't be considered a mind as a human mind. I don't.
No,
think.
not a human mind. But is there like some sort of like thing with mental states, like a thing with thoughts or like qualitative experience?
I believe there
that created
is.
The universe?
Yes, I believe it is a. Let me take a second to figure out how to say it. Conscious awareness.
Okay.
Self-conscious awareness.
Self-conscious awareness. Okay. What makes you think that?
Because it's hard to believe that something was created from nothing.
But why not think that something always existed? Like, why not think that the universe itself always existed?
Well, in a sense, it could have, because if the theory of God always existed, correct, then, I mean, yeah, they say God always was, and always will be.
I'm asking,
correct?
why can't the universe be the thing that always existed? Like, I agree, something can't
Because
come
I
from
don't
nothing.
believe that the universe itself, I don't believe that inanimate objects have thought and, a brain like we do.
Well, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
think it has the capacity to think or create. I think it took some kind of conscious awareness of self to create.
Okay, so why? Why would I think that there was a creation at all as opposed to the universe just always existing?
it just doesn't seem to make sense to me. I'm not saying it isn't, just to me, it doesn't make sense for something to just exist. It seems like there should be a reason for it.
Do you think that there's a reason why God exists?
I do.
You believe in an infinite regress of gods?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
So you're saying that God has a creator, and then God's creator, because everything needs a creator, then God's creator would need a creator, and then God's creator's creator's creator would need a creator. So it just seems like there would just be like an infinite regress of gods. So instead of believing in a universe that always existed, you want to believe in like an infinite regress of gods that eventually one of them gives rise to like a universe.
No, not necessarily. I think more like conscious awareness always existed.
But you said that that conscious awareness came from somewhere.
I did.
Mhm.
I apologize for that. I
That's
don't.
okay.
I don't
You
know.
don't need to apologize for that.
Right.
Sure, but you think that that conscious awareness always existed, so then you do think that it's possible to have something that just always existed. Why not think that it's the
Well-
universe? Why not think that the universe is the thing that always existed as opposed to God being the thing that always existed?
Okay, because I don't believe physical reality always existed.
Why
I
not?
think there are things out there that we humanly at this time maybe cannot comprehend it. That we don't have the capacity at this time in human history to comprehend what exactly God is.
What makes you think that physical reality didn't always exist?
That physical reality didn't always exist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a feeling. I guess it would be more of a feeling than it is. It's definitely not a knowing because none of us know.
But do you have like a reason to think so?
I do.
What's that reason?
Because I see things that exist and I have no explanation for it. That's the only explanation I can come up with it.
So let me get this straight. So you're saying there are things you don't know, and because there are things you don't know, physical reality must have began to exist?
That's a good question.
Is that what you're saying?
I don't know what I'm saying. That's why I'm bouncing them off of you. I'm trying to understand it as well. So that's why I like talking to you, because you come up with these questions that make me have to look at myself and look at my explanation, or why do I want to know too.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Well, hey, if you get your thoughts a bit more sorted out, I'd love to have you back on the stream. Rudy, thanks so much for the 2-month Cool Corey membership. It's great to have you in the community. All right, if you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. I also ask that you have some sort of reason to think that God exists. And with that, we'll go to the very next guest. Hey, how's it going?
So I just got a short question.
Wait,
I
so
was eating, sorry.
I got 2 quick questions.
Maybe-
1, how old are you? And 2, what's your religion?
First of all, I'm 25 now.
Oh wait, sorry.
I was
Would you
born-
mind not eating? It's kind of gross.
Yeah, I'm trying to swallow. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, how old are you and what's your religion?
I'm 25. I was raised Christian, but now I can't really call it Christianity anymore. I do believe in a God, though.
Okay.
I
What
don't
makes
know if that's cool with your argumentation.
Okay. What makes you? And by God, what do you mean? Do you mean like a mind that
By
created
God,
the universe?
I mean a mind, or could possibly be many minds, right? I'm not too sure about that.
Okay. What makes you think that there's like a mind or many minds that created the universe?
The thing is with minds are like a human entity. or would you say you can describe a universe as having a mind? You know what I mean?
The entire universe? I don't know what it would mean for the entire universe to have a mind. I mean, maybe if the entire
Can you even
universe
say
had
that?
like one unified qualitative experience, then maybe that would make sense to say. But I mean, unless that's true, then I don't think so.
Doesn't it have to be true in order for rules? Doesn't the universe doesn't have to follow like some kind of order, right?
In order to have rules?
In order to have rules, you have to have some kind of order, right? am I
Sure.
wrong
I mean,
about
I
it?
guess like rules would just kind of be like a type of order. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I guess I'm not entirely sure what you're saying with that, but I don't know. Like if you have rules, then certainly you'll have order, and if you have order, then there are probably rules. They're probably like mutually entailing. So sure, yeah.
Do you think in order for rules there needs to be something that created rules or not?
I don't
You
think so.
think the rules always could have been there?
Well, I think whatever like the rules are an abstraction of could have always been there. So maybe it's the case that things like the laws of physics, like the math that we associate with the laws of physics, maybe that's just an abstraction of something like the physical dispositions that all of these objects have. And this is like we impose this framework of rules onto these otherwise consistent dispositions. But I think that the underlying thing would have always been there.
What do you mean by the underlying thing? I don't
Yeah, so the underlying
the
thing
concept,
and
right?
the thing that I just said.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, and the thing that I just said, the underlying thing would be like the dispositions. So let's say that the laws of physics are just abstractions of the dispositions of various
okay,
physical
just-
objects. Then
Just to
the
kind of break it down
dispositions
for
would be the underlying thing there. So maybe like the dispositions or like the atoms, the particles, the electrons, like those could have just always existed.
just from my understanding, that does imply that time is infinite, right?
Not necessarily. You could hold like a B theory of time and then hold that there's just like a first moment within the timeline, but then the entire timeline always existed.
If
But-
you have a first time, you can't say it's infinite.
Are you
do I
asking
have-
like infinite or like whether or not it like came into existence? So you could have had like
Is there
you
is there
could
a
have had like
difference?
the physical world, yes, because you could have the physical world always exist, because you could have like the timeline always exist, and then it just so happens to be the case that the timeline has like a start. So in that circumstance, the timeline would have a beginning, but
it
all
contradicts
moments in it would just
itself.
have
always
always
exists and
existed.
starts. In language itself, it contradicts itself. You know
I
what
disagree.
I mean? Okay. Always
But-
existing
Sure.
for me means there is no start.
Okay.
It's like a circle.
There's
But
what always
for time-
exists
time
to me
isn't
means
circular.
what always exists to me means is that there is no state of affairs where this thing doesn't exist that changes into a state of affairs where it does exist. That there's nothing like that. But if the timeline, the whole timeline just always existed, well, I don't know. Picture this. Picture like a timeline on like a video editing software. And let's say that timeline on that video editing software has just always existed. Well, you know, that timeline would have a beginning to it, but then
It's a
still
bad example.
it
but-
always existed. I think it's a good example.
Yeah, but it's limited. Like all editing programs are limited.
All
Like, hardly
editing
limited.
programs are limited. Sure, I
Yeah,
guess.
even the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
doesn't
it's not a
really
good
like
example, I
refute the
think.
point though. The point is just that you could have a timeline with a beginning and then the entire timeline itself could have just always existed. But okay, let's say that I grant that it just is like an infinite regress, like it goes back infinitely. What would be the problem with that?
Many problems.
Yeah.
Many problems with everything. If something existed forever, and let's believe the Big Bang is like the most likely explanation for universe. It doesn't have to be maybe or a version of the Big Bang. It doesn't have to be like
Why would I think
there
that
was
the universe
nothing-
began to exist? The Big Bang doesn't make the claim that the universe began to exist.
you said you just mentioned that it started at some point. Can I call
No.
it existing?
I was just giving you an example of how it could have always existed, but then still have like a first moment in the timeline. But
Yeah.
no,
so
let's say I
if
hold like
say
an infinite regress.
the
view.
universe started at there, Is it a better formulation? I don't have to say existing.
I'm giving you an example. I'm not telling you that that's my view. I'm just giving you an example of why what you said wouldn't follow. I lean towards the infinite regress.
Okay, I see. I didn't get the example. Maybe I have to think about that some more.
Okay, but what would be the problem with like an infinite regress where before the Big Bang there's like more universe?
Potential energy would be infinite, and
Potential energy would be
everything
infinite. Why?
everything would go into infinity at some point.
Why would potential
At
energy
time.
be infinite?
Because what is potential energy, right? Potential energy. Okay, maybe it's not infinite. Maybe it's limited at a maximum of matter used over X amount of time. I don't know. But the thing is, if you have time as infinite, every equation that includes time and a change in time can go to infinity. Meaning every equation including time has some way to get to infinity, right?
So I don't think that that follows. Typically with so every equation in time, what the math there is going to be doing is saying from 0, how long has it been? You can't really put infinity into that. So no, I don't think I'd grant that. In fact, I think most time-based equations, what they're doing is like a difference in time.
That's totally true. There's not really calculating with infinite time, as far as I know. But I'm not that into math, I have to say. Maybe Blitz knows more about that. But anyways, you don't grant that if you, like, for example, velocity formula, like v is t times or something for, if you put infinite there, velocity gets infinite. That makes no sense, and you can't tell me that it's wrong.
Why
to
is
put infinity
velocity
there.
growing with time?
Velocity, right?
Velocity actually
Why is
shrinks with
velocity-
time because velocity is d over t. It's distance divided by time.
Yeah, it's also dependent on the
so that would actually go to
ground cover.
0.
Oh, it would go to 0, right?
But
It's
also, so
minus.
typically with like velocity, what's being questioned is like an object and like the distance that this object has traveled divided by the time that it took to travel
I
it.
know.
So you can just pick a point that you'd like to look at for the velocity. If you're looking at like lifetime velocity, then you could pick like the first moment of the object and then over till the last moment of the object and then just divide it by
Yeah,
time.
Hypothetically, a particle created at the beginning of or the start of the universe.
I don't grant
and you
that there's a
want
start of
to-
the universe.
However you want to call it.
It's
The
like
first
kind of
point
integral.
existing in infinite time.
I don't grant that there's a first moment. That's the whole point.
Oh, okay. My bad. So, you don't even grant. Then how do you? But you do believe that matter expands or the universe expands.
Yeah, we have
That's
evidence
what
to
it's currently
suggest it.
doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there isn't a first start, why should we be expanding?
So, for example, the universe could go through like infinite cycles of big bounces and big crunches. It could rapidly expand and then rapidly collapse and then rapidly expand.
But
Yep.
why shouldn't that have a start?
Why would it?
Same question you asked me.
I could give you an argument for why time is infinite. If change exists, then time exists because, all change requires different moments in time. So every change is going to correspond to at least 2 moments in time. So, change must have always existed. The reason for that is because if change didn't always exist, then it would come into existence. That is to say, there would be, a change from the changeless state to the changing state. But, obviously the changeless state doesn't change. So time can't
No,
come
I
into
don't read that.
existence. It must
I
have
don't
just
read
always
that.
existed. You think changeless states change?
Depends what you mean by changing.
Like becoming
So-
different from different moments? Having contradictory properties at different moments?
If it's infinite right, and you say changing, what does it really mean?
I'm saying that it couldn't have come into existence Because if it came into existence, then there would be some state where time doesn't exist or where change doesn't exist that changes into a state where change does exist. So there would be a change before change exists.
It feels like a logical trap, but I can't explain why right now. I can't explain why. I know what
Many
you're
such
saying.
cases.
I know what you're saying, and it sounds right, but it feels like a logical trap, but I can't explain why.
Just let yourself fall into it. Don't be scared. You got this. So, I mean, absent some reason
Maybe
to
I
think
grant
that,
that. Maybe I grant.
yeah. But if change always exists, then time always exists, which means that time must have always existed. So that would be a
So
reason to
change-
think that the universe goes through infinite cycles of big bounces.
No.
Yeah.
It's I found the error. In order for change, you need time. You can't explain.
Yeah.
It's circular reasoning.
Exactly.
You can't
That
reason.
doesn't follow.
You can't reason time has to have change, because in order for change you need time, and in order for time it's circular.
Well, you could just say that
circular
they
reasoning.
share, that they have like an identity, or that one is like the measure of the other. So that wouldn't be
Yeah.
circular if they're identical.
No. But in order for change, you need time. You can't
Mhm.
have change with time, but you can have time
Yep.
without change.
Yeah, it's because you could just say that they're identical.
But they're not.
What's the argument for that?
That time and change are different things.
That's the conclusion.
The argument is that in order to have change, you need time. So
That's
the universe
totally
could
right.
have changed into having time before time existed.
Yeah, okay.
Changing
Okay.
state. A changeless state doesn't change. Therefore, change must have always existed. If change exists, then time exists. Therefore, or wait, sorry. If change always existed, is what I'll do. Then time always existed.
In order for change to exist, you need to have time.
Yep. You could say that they're mutually entailing. Although you could also view, depending on your like metaphysics of time, either you're going to say that when you have change, you have time, but there could be passage of time that doesn't correspond to like any sort of change. If you accept something like the view that time is like an object, like a container that events take place in. The alternative thing is that you could just say that change exists if and only if time exists, and then you say like change is time, or like time is a measure of change, or something of that sort.
Can't things? Okay, but things can be not changing but be in time, right?
Yeah,
It's possible.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, it depends how technical you want to get. Technically speaking, every time when something is in time, even if there isn't like some sort of intrinsic change, like the space-time that it's in, the force of gravity that it feels, all of these things are going to be
Changing it, right?
changing the object. Like the object is going to experience like differences in forces. Even if it itself isn't like moving or something.
Okay. In order for let me read. Maybe I need some time to read your points again.
Mhm.
Always, change always exists. Change always exists. Always exists, but doesn't pretend. It didn't come before time, right? It always existed.
I don't
But
think
time
that there is
has-
a before time.
Yeah. So it started. No, it didn't start. It was there and changed. Can something change without something doing the change?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I think probably not. I think we have good reason to think that changes require something to actually change them, although I know that there's like stuff in quantum mechanics that might go against that. But I don't know, for the sake of argument and simplicity, let's just say that I grant it that all changes require something to produce the change.
Okay. Then it gets more difficult to understand, I guess. Because if changes, the thing is with infinite time, I can't think in infinite time though. It doesn't fit in my mind. Like eternal time. I can't say infinite time. Infinite time sounds wrong. Eternal time. Why would there be change though?
What do you mean?
It doesn't make sense to me. If time is eternal,
Because they're
what
like
is
objects
the cause for
that,
change?
Yeah, because things were just always changing.
Always have been, always will be.
Yeah.
So you say everything can happen because time is eternal.
No.
Everything with a possibility can happen because time is eternal.
Wait, sorry. So, wait, what's your argument?
So if you say time is eternal, there's some problem. I don't know how it's called, right? With the infinite monkey thingy or the infinite hotel.
Like the
thingy.
monkey typewriter. Oh, Hilbert's Hotel.
Yeah, Hilbert's Hotel or the monkey typewriter
So,
shit.
Well, yeah, I have like responses to Hilbert's Hotel. One, I just straight up don't share the intuition that there's anything wrong going on there. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that I have a math degree and I'm like used to like the weirdness of infinity. I just have no reason to think that there's any sort of like contradiction happening in Hilbert's Hotel. Maybe it's like a bit strange. You know, infinity is kind of weird.
No
but-
contradiction, but it says everything that can happen will happen more or less.
Oh no.
As far as I understood.
So I know that that's not strictly true. There's like some sort of argument. It was so long ago, but I think that there are like specific configurations, like mathematical configurations, wherein I don't know, like let's say you have like 3 spinning wheels, but you have these 3 spinning wheels spin at like different rates. They all start in like an upward position. There are like certain rates that you could set all 3 of these wheels such that they will never again ever be 3 upward positions ever again.
In infinite time.
I think that's similar to the one that I'm remembering. It's if you have a 3D like square lattice and a point that will randomly go up, down, left, right, forward, or back, you can prove that even across infinite time, it will not find every single space.
You can't prove that.
I mean, very explicitly.
Just
you
by
can.
logic.
You like for
can't
sure
prove
can
infinite
though.
concept.
You can.
Unfortunately.
You can show
No,
that in
no,
2
no.
dimensions it will.
You can prove it mathematically.
1 dimension
but
it
you
will,
can't-
but
you
in 3
can't prove it
dimensions and
physically.
up it won't.
You literally
No,
can,
you
unfortunately.
You can't prove
This is
infinity
like-
physically. It's impossible.
This is like something that's
way.
like very
What?
provable, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Mathematically, yeah,
like
but
very well known
but physically-
in math.
yeah. What do you mean by known? They still use borders, right? It's not really infinity. Or I don't understand infinity. I just can't say I don't understand infinity, right?
It's in the limit. Do you know how limits work?
Yeah, but yeah,
You take the limit as like
How's
t goes to
the
infinity.
mathematician called again that
and see
said
what it
like
converges to.
there are different infinities and they can have limits, but I don't agree with that statement.
Michael Humer. God, I was browsing through Wikipedia trying to find this. Oh God, we're about to have like another Michael Humer banger. I was looking at the eternal return because it's this exact idea. Okay, so attempts have been made to prove prove or disprove the possibility of a Poincare recurrence in a system the size of a galaxy or a universe. Philosopher Michael Humer has argued that if this is so, then reincarnation can be proven by a person's current existence using Bayesian probability theory. You know, I give that one eyebrow raise out of 10, Michael. Let's try a bit harder.
Okay. I don't get the references, but sure. I'm sorry.
Those in the book club, those who are learned will know. But
Yeah,
okay,
good
like
one.
I get that you're like incredulous, but I think I'm probably just gonna move on to the next guest. Make sure you're double tapping on that screen, sharing it with your friends, doing all that good stuff. If you're in that guest request box, make sure that you're 18 or older. Make sure that you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. Whoa, Lou, thank you so much for the 12-month subscription. Hi, Twitchies. Coming to show some love. Yay. Big W, Lou. 12-month on both of them is wacky. I really appreciate that. You have not gone unnoticed. Bullying so funny? What? I feel like we were like egregiously nice to that dude. Hey, how's it going?
Hop around if you don't need my help anymore.
Yep,
I'll see
okay.
you.
Yep, later. Yeah, how's it going? How old are you?
I am 33 years old. My name's Tyler, and I like your program here. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. What religion are you?
I would consider myself an omnitheist. So, like, someone who takes in, like, that the point of view of all cultures across our recorded history have had the limitation of language to try to describe the infinite and the unknowable. But, like, you know, the most intelligent humans of the time were the ones writing these stories and books. So what necessarily were they trying to get on to, you know, besides exploiting people, you know?
So, okay, that seems like it couldn't possibly be. Okay, maybe what I should do first. Let me make sure I'm understanding your position correctly. Are you saying that all of these different religions actually agree with each other?
I wouldn't necessarily say they agree, like down to the nitty-gritty, but they might have all been trying to describe the same experience or perception of the infinite with different languages and tools of the time.
But are they all okay? Do you think that there's like a mind that created the universe?
I'm more on the line that the universe itself might be acting as a mind. Like there might be some bigger function and we're like neurons or some sort of nodes in that system.
Do you think that the universe was created? Do you think that God created it?
Not in the way like we're seeing like a man with a beard in the sky, like pulling out a blueprint and like building things with tools.
Just
but
that there was like some
created.
state where it didn't exist, and then through an act of creation, an act of will, God brought it into existence?
No, that's a very, yeah. Like I wouldn't say that. Like it probably has existed infinitely, like you have been saying.
Okay.
But like
you,
my
you think the entire
perception is that
universe
there's
is
like
conscious?
like it could be just not in our specific form of consciousness. Like we might be like fractal representations of the universe as a whole, like in the same way that I'm made up of like trillions of little cells that all have independent lives, you know, different than mine.
Does
But
the
they all
universe
like
have
have their own.
qualitative experience?
Like qualitative experience seems to me is very subjective to the human experience. So whatever experience the universe as a whole or multiverse, if we want to go down that rabbit hole, whatever experience it, air quote, it is having, we would not be able to really understand the same way our cells would not understand our qualitative experience as full humans.
Our cells don't have any sort of knowledge, and other than possibly like neurons, you know,
I would
they're
say like there's an awareness, like I want to say
for
knowledge
sure
like
no.
stored, but there's an awareness. Like my skin cell has to be aware that it's next to a blood cell in order to perform a function.
So I wouldn't say that that's knowledge. Instead, what it does is it reacts. Like it doesn't have qualitative experience, your cell. Instead, what it's doing is like reacting towards like the stimuli that are present. The thing that would differentiate that from like, I don't know, our brain is because the way that our brain specifically reacts to stimuli is a way that gives rise to something like qualitative experience.
Right. And I agree with you on that fully. I think I was kind of like intrigued when you were talking about time with the previous guest,
It sounds
and
like you agree with me on time, though, so I'm not really sure what we would talk
I
about
do.
there.
To like a degree where it's like if I had a quantum entangled like photon, like we got two photons, they're entangled here on Earth, and with like spooky action at a distance, if we were to like take that quantum entangled photon to the orbit of a black hole where time is supposedly like dragging, or is it slower by the black hole compared to Earth? Is that what they say?
I think so.
So if that quantum entangled photon on Earth is supposed to instantaneously transmit, or the other photon knows exactly the position of the one on Earth, like, is there a delay there? Like, does the time dilated
What
photon
does this
have
have
to
to do with
wait?
God? Does this have like? I'm more interested
does
in
have-
making sure that there's like one, like a substantive disagreement between us,
Oh yeah,
and then
yes,
two,
yes.
like a reason to think that like what's the thing that you think exists that I don't think exists?
I believe that there might be, well, I don't know what you believe exists or don't exist, but I think that there is some sort of like hierarchical, what's the word? There's like a structure that is above what we are experiencing, whether it's time, like another form of time that we don't perceive or experience. Like,
And do you think that this
I
thing has
don't-
experience?
yes, like we might be giving
Okay.
experience to this intelligence that isn't us.
Why
Like,
should
we
I
are the
think that such a thing exists? Like, what's the argument?
the significance of knowing whether, like, I don't know, you should think that this thing possibly could exist as like,
Why?
because I mean, like, if you believe that you weren't made up of a bunch of cells and then someone told you, hey, you have little cells that make you up, like, maybe it's trying to figure out the why through our individual experiences.
Do you have like a reason to think that this thing exists?
Other than the subjective like experience of me being able to look down and say, well, I'm made up of a bunch of billions, if not trillions, of little doodads, so maybe this big thing is figuring out what it's made out of through us. But I mean, we don't have like direct contact or conversation with said entity, so it's one of those things where I feel like I just like ran myself into a circle. But I just wanted to converse with you, and I wanted to bounce these ideas off of you.
Listen, I'm not. That's not really what I'm. This is a debate show. Only request to join if you're 18 or older. If you believe in the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. You know, I don't know. Please don't come and do that. All right, on to the next one. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Yep. And what religion?
Grew up Catholic, Christian. Probably don't follow Catholicism as much as I should, but Christian,
Okay.
maybe Protestant. Yeah.
Yeah. What makes you think God exists?
Well, I want to touch on the time thing you were talking about, and then I'd like to hear your argument for why God isn't real, since you're posing the positive argument in this.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
for
yeah.
it. What do you want to say about the time stuff?
Two things. I kind of forget the first, but
I have the argument still written up.
yeah. Sorry, could I see your argument tree that you
Yeah.
made for 2 guests ago?
Yep.
Oh, I do remember now. It was something to the effect of one of your premises mentions that change didn't always exist, so a changeless state must change back into a changing state.
Yeah.
This feels like I don't agree with this premise, and it feels like you're missing a premise, which is that a changeless state sorry, I don't agree with this premise because it feels like the argument that theists make, that non-life cannot come from, or life cannot form from non-life. And I don't understand why we have to accept that premise as being true.
Wait, so do you reject 1.1 or 1.2?
1.2.
1.2. Okay. So a changeless state doesn't change? You think that there can be a state where change does not exist, and then a change can occur in the state where change does not exist?
Sorry, there could be a state where change doesn't exist, and that changeless state changes into a state where change does exist. That's what you said, right?
Do you think that there's maybe? So okay, let's say that we have a state with no change. You think a change occurred in the state with no change?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
I don't see why we should accept that is impossible.
If a change occurs, does change exist?
Yes.
Okay, so we have the state where change does not exist. A change occurs, so change must exist.
hmm
So change both exists and doesn't exist.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because as you mentioned, you're taking these states. Do you want me to let you finish writing this?
So this to me is like a pretty direct contradiction.
Sure.
The state within the state. Okay, wait. If a state is changeless, then change does not exist.
Sorry, I disagree with that premise before you finish.
Okay.
Change doesn't exist within that state, I think would be a better way of phrasing
Does not
that.
exist. Yeah,
Within the state.
that's what it's referring to.
Well, saying change does not exist is like entailing the conclusion. Change doesn't
if
exist.
a state is changeless, then in that state,
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to make that.
change does not exist.
That's like my argument.
Yes. Okay. So if a state is changeless, then in that state, change does not exist. And then a change occurs in a changeless state.
Mhm.
So this would both yield from
A changing state and a changeless state. I understand your
that. No,
comment
no,
to
that change both exists and doesn't exist.
Sure, if they happen at the same time.
So you
But
do think that there's like a moment where change both exists and doesn't exist?
No, I think a state is, if we're understanding states as moments in time, I think a state can exist at one moment in time without change. And then at the next moment in time, change occurs. And then following that moment in time, now the state is changing.
So okay, this is going to follow from exist in the changeless state. So the fact that change does not exist in the changeless state follows from what is it going to be two?
Changes.
Or
don't
oh
exist in the
yeah,
chain. Yeah, it follows from premise 2.
yeah. That's basically just premise 2, and then change exists in the changeless state.
Or sorry, no. Change has the potential to exist.
From which one? Wait, which premise do you want to change?
C1.
C1.
Or that would be a conclusion rather. But like in my argument tree, it would be that change has the potential to exist even
Okay.
in an unchanging state.
So we got from premise 1 and premise 3. So you would reject which one? You'd reject one?
If change occurs, then change exists. No, I wouldn't reject that.
Which one would you reject then?
I'm not sure I'm necessarily I'm not rejecting any of them. I just think your conclusion doesn't necessitate, or your premises don't necessitate the conclusion.
So there are two conclusions on the table. Which one isn't necessitated?
One of them's a little cut off. The second one, think
Does it need to
change
move
does not
left or right?
is it just change does not exist in the changeless state?
Yeah.
Okay. Change exists in the changeless state. My conclusion is that the potential for change exists
But
in the changeless.
you need to tell me which of these, which conclusion you disagree with, and then from there that'll inform us as to like which
conclusion 2. Sorry, yeah, conclusion 2. I
So
disagree
then
with.
you just reject 2. That if a state is changeless, then in
Wait,
that
sorry, no.
state,
This is a false dichotomy. They can both be true at the same
Wait.
time, or like.
do you think both conclusions that change exists in the changeless state and change does not exist in the changeless state? You think?
Do you think a potential for something is the same as
Wait,
the thing existing?
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm
Do you-
trying
you
to answer your
accept
question.
Both the conclusions.
I'm trying to answer your question. I just
Is
want to
that-
get down.
Is that correct?
verbiage.
I just want to. Okay, you accept both
Yeah,
the
sorry.
conclusions.
I understand. Do you think potential change and change itself are the same thing?
Potential change and change itself. No, I don't think potential change is the same thing as.
All right, then
actual change.
I'd reject conclusion 1 then.
Okay, so would you reject premise 1 or premise 3 then?
If change occurs, then change exists. Premise 1.
Okay, you think that there are changes wherein change doesn't exist?
I think if change occurs, it means the possibility for change
Okay,
exists.
but would you be willing to affirm that there are changes that occur wherein change doesn't exist?
If we're talking about moments in time, I think there are changes that occur where change did not exist before. Yes.
Okay, so you think that a change can occur, but in that change there is no change because change
That's not
doesn't
what.
exist.
No, that's not what I said. I said in
I
two
know you
different
want to
moments.
say that it's like there's like a potential for change. I get
Yes.
that, but if a
Yes.
change occurs, then it must exist. It's like
At
trivial.
the time, wait, sorry, yes, at the time that it exists, it must exist. But the point I'm getting at is before the change
And
occurred,
what
it's
moment?
possible that
Yeah.
there
What
was an
moment does
unchanging state.
in what moment does the changeless state or does the change occur? It occurs
At
at the
the
moment
moment.
of the changeless state.
No, it occurs at the moment of the change state because it makes this
How
makes
does
the
it
state
get from the changeless state to the changed state?
the change itself. It's instantaneously.
Yes. But where does the change exist? In what state?
The second change occurs, it becomes a change state.
And how does it
obviously.
get from the first one to the second one? Because you're saying that the
change.
change occurs in the second state, but it would need to be in the second state for that change to occur.
No, they're the same thing. They are I can't think of the right word right now. But the second the change occurs, you are in the second state. And the second you're in the second state, the change has occurred. They are the same thing.
I'm not sure I tracked that. Could you say that one more time?
Yeah, sorry. What I'm saying is, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but I can't come up with a perfect one. The changeless state turns into the change state the second the change occurs. So in order to get from the changeless state to the change state, all you need is the change to occur. But that's not to say, wait,
And
that's
when
not
does it
to say,
occur?
it occurs at the beginning of the change state.
Sure. So okay. So then you would
Or
reject
like
the,
if you want me, if
you would reject
yeah,
the
if you want,
principle that, for example, if there is a changeless state and a change doesn't occur in this changeless state, then the state doesn't change.
if
Do you think that this is false?
no, I understand what you're arguing, but this feels like the sand pile paradox. At some point, like
What? This
Yeah,
doesn't have
do-
anything to do with that.
it does because just because I can't point to, I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to be fair to your argument. If there is a changeless state, what you're trying to argue is that the changeless state can't turn into the change state because the change occurs after the changeless state, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
you'd be committed to saying that there's a changeless state, a change doesn't occur in this changeless state, and then that state changes.
Changeless state. Interesting. Can you give me 1 second to just
Yeah.
think about it?
Yep.
Thank you. If there's a change of state and a change, this is a good argument, a change occurs. My argument, I think the issue, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think the issue is like I consider a state with the potential to change and not a changeless state.
What? That can't be.
You don't think so?
I mean, so for example, maybe you want to
Yeah.
say, maybe you want to say like God has the potential to change, and then he just never does. He just never chooses to.
No, that would be contradictory to his nature.
Oh, well, do you think that he's like essentially timeless? If you think he's essentially timeless, then yeah, that would. But
Yeah, I do think he's essentially
Okay.
time. I also think this whole argument's to argue that that change and time are intertwined, therefore the universe is eternally like existent, right?
Mhm.
That's the point of this argument. I find issue with that too, even if like, do you know? I won't get into Zeno's paradox. The issue with this argument seems to be like, again, I do disagree with the argument, but even if it were true,
Yeah.
in order to get to this time, this moment in time, if the universe were infinite, again, I'm not a math major, so maybe you can enlighten me, we'd have to traverse across infinitely many points in time.
Mm.
And to traverse across infinitely many points in time is to say it is infinitely, the possibility that we exist today is like infinitely low, or to say like approaching zero.
Okay, so I don't think that follows.
Okay.
We
This is
would
like
only need to.
William Craig's argument.
Yeah. We would only need to traverse that many points in a circumstance where the entire timeline isn't actual. So I hold to the B theory of time. I think that the timeline and like the space line, frankly, is like a block. I think that like the 4-dimensional block in its entirety just exists and never comes into existence. So
Sure.
in this view, there could be an infinite regress into the past, and the question of, well, how do we get to here kind of doesn't make sense because here is always actual. It's just at a different point in the timeline, in the same way that, like, okay, 10 miles away from here is actual, but it's just actual at like a different point in space. You know, right now is not 10 minutes from now, and right here is not like 10 miles from here. But we could just say like all the moments are eternally actual.
including moments that have not occurred yet.
There is no like absolute occurrence. Occurrence is going to be relative to the specific time slices. So from this
Sure.
time slice, there's
Sure,
like a
yeah.
set of things that have occurred and a set of things that have not occurred.
Yes.
From the time slice 10 minutes into the future, it's like slightly changed what has occurred
Sure.
and what hasn't.
Yeah, I guess the part I'm confused at, I've never really understood the A and B theories of time, so sorry. But the part I'm a little confused at is you said all points in time are eternally occurring, correct? Or am I misrepresenting you?
They're all equally real. Like there is so here's probably an important distinction. So what the A theory of time, it gets conflated with presentism. But yeah, I mix the words up, so I'll probably just use them interchangeably. So
Sure.
what presentism is trying to say is that there is the past does not exist. It's not actual. The future is not actual. Only the
Mhm.
present is actual. And
Mhm.
when a new moment comes into existence, the old moment is no longer actual.
No longer exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
What
yeah,
the
sure.
B theory of time is saying is that past, present, and future are all actual. Every single one of them is real. That what exists basically is like the entire timeline,
What does actual mean? Sorry.
like existent.
Okay. Feels unintuitive to say that things that have not been experienced, I guess I can phrase it as, rather than have not happened, are as real as things that are being experienced.
Well, I'm going to say that happened and not happened is totally relative to an individual in a time slice.
Right. That's why I said experience rather than have happened or have not happened.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
I haven't experienced my wedding yet, but to say my wedding is as real as this moment feels unintuitive.
Wait, what's the specific phrase that you said is unintuitive?
To say that, pretend I do get married, right? Like,
Yep.
let's pretend we're omniscient. To say my wedding, which has not been experienced by anyone, is as real as the thing I am experiencing now.
It hasn't been experienced by you, but the you that's in that time slice is experiencing it.
Okay, yeah, we're just gonna disagree. I don't think there is a me that exists.
I could give you like there's unfortunately just like brutal physics evidence that would favor this.
Oh, sure. Can you tell me? I'm
so
not. Yeah.
There's this thing in physics called the relativity of simultaneity. Oh, wait, what the fuck? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
I just had like a huge lag spike or something.
Sorry about that. When you bring up physics, it overwhelms the servers, I think.
Yeah, it must. That's too bad. Okay. Molly, are we still good? Is the
Also, thank you for accepting my request. This isn't my main account, but I don't want all my friends involved in me going on debates, so I appreciate it, even though I don't have many
yeah,
followers.
it's totally fine. Okay. So there's this thing called relativity of simultaneity. Basically, what the relativity of simultaneity is that when you're traveling close to the speed of light, you're going to experience less time than a thing that's traveling at not close to the speed of light.
Sure, but time does. In this theory, time doesn't exist.
Time does exist.
Well, it depends.
It's just relative to the inertial frame.
Yeah, right. Okay, yes, that's what I'm getting. Like this. Yes. Okay, continue.
Yep. So different inertial reference frames are going to disagree about what time it is.
Yes.
So, we could sync up our watches, we could do all of that, and
Yeah,
then
one of
I
us
could
is-
travel in my rocket ship.
And our watches will say different times. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to like the argument or whatever that I said, this assumes that, actually I'll ask you maybe, because maybe you know more than me. Does this not assume that I am actively moving at two different rates of time if that person exists now, or that experience is being experienced actively?
No, I think all the reference frames agree on velocity. I think what they disagree on is they disagree on the length of objects and they disagree on the time.
Could you elaborate a little? Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I could give you like a good example. So, okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, this probably won't be a good example. This might be like hellishly difficult, actually. One sec. Let me get do I just have like the drawing tablet up? Let me get my drawing tablet up.
Sure.
Give me just a sec. Okay, so here's something that's important. So
Mhm.
within relativity, the laws of physics are exactly the same on every single inertial reference frame. So an inertial reference frame is just something that has
Are
like
you saying
zero
initial or inertial?
inertial.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
So inertia. So anytime that something has a zero acceleration, we call that an inertial reference frame.
Got it. That makes sense.
And so that means that you could be traveling at like 50 miles per hour, and the laws of physics are going to be the same, or you could be traveling at like 2,000 miles an hour, or like close to the speed of light. As long as it's like a consistent velocity, as long as acceleration is zero, then the laws of physics are going to be the same. Additionally, from every single reference frame, the speed of light is the same. There is no disagreement about like what speed light travels at in it. So one sec.
Well, that
let
would
me.
be relative. Yeah, that's relative to the inertial reference point, right?
No,
light
they're all
travels
going
at.
to say they are all going to say that light travels at like exactly the same rate, no matter which reference frame you're in.
Really?
Yeah.
So if your reference is 20 miles an hour faster than my
Yep.
reference point, we would still observe light traveling at the same speed?
Yeah. So okay.
Is this not against Einstein's theory of relativity? I guess I'm confused.
No, this is Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yeah.
So let's say that I'm plowing your mom at light speed. So from your reference point, looking up at us, let's say you might see me traveling next to like a photon, and we're traveling at like the same speed. We're like right next to each other, even.
Yeah.
But then from my perspective, from our perspective, even, not yours, but me and your mom's perspective, that
Sure.
light has like zoomed off. It is no longer next to us.
Because you guys are stationary?
No, because the speed of light is consistent for every reference frame.
Wait, sorry. Maybe I'm stupid.
It's unintuitive. It's not intuitive. It's
So if I'm plowing's a weird example because you're like stationary.
no. We can change just like a rocket ship.
If I'm running at the speed of light
Yeah.
and a photon's next to me, moving presumably at the speed of light, would we not observe each other being stationary?
So no. This is the mind fuck, because
Yeah, I guess
the
so.
photon is only next to you from somebody who's not traveling at close to the speed of light. Like, so let's say that you have like the rocket ship is good because you can be like a ground observer.
Sure.
One sec. Let me actually get the screen share.
Yeah, if you don't mind, much more about this than I do.
App.remarkable. Let me get.
I'm also sorry. I didn't mean to move away from the
No, you're totally fine. I love
truth
yapping.
table. Yeah, we moved away from but like this was the conclusion you were trying to get at. So like, I feel like this is more important.
Yeah. I'm a real deal yapper. I love yapping. I was born to
need
yap.
both.
I'll gladly yap. Let me find. Do I want to do maybe this?
It's a little zoomed in, but
Yeah. Let me. Oh, what the fuck? That's bullshit. And then let me go ahead and share it. Okay. And then I got to get it over here too. What? Why is my shit so fucked? Okay, let me. Okay, Molly, here you go. So. Ooh. Okay. So let's say we have like ground control, and it's looking up through like the telescope.
Yep.
And then simultaneously we got this like rocket
Sure.
that's blasting off at light speed, or at close to the speed of light. Let's say like 99% of c, speed of light. So from the perspective, okay, let's say that there's like this little twinkle of light. From the perspective of ground control,
Light's moving in the same direction, right?
yeah, it's all moving in the same direction. From the perspective of ground control, these things are going to stay like roughly stationary. Like when they're over here, it's going to be like roughly. They're going to be, the light is going to move like a bit ahead of the rocket. In fact, probably like way ahead of the rocket. If it's
I don't
only
mean to be a
99%.
pedantic asshole.
What's up?
Sorry, I don't know
What's
if I can swear. I don't mean to be pedantic. When you say relatively stationary, you're not saying relative to the observer. What you're saying is
sorry, I should have clarified that. They're like relatively. The observer
At
is
the
going to
same-
see them as seeing like they're like kind of like neck and neck.
yes. Okay. I think that's where I was confused originally.
Yep. So from the observer's perspective, they're like roughly neck and neck. But here's like
Yes.
the really fucky part, because from the perspective of the rocket, this light is way over here.
Is this the case?
It's like zoomed off into the distance because the observer views this light as traveling at the speed of light still. So from mission control's perspective,
Yep.
in like a second, the light is going to be roughly the same place that the rocket is. Maybe both of them are a little bit forward.
Yep.
Maybe like from mission controls, both of them are going to be like right here.
Sure. Yeah.
From the perspective of the person on the rocket, the light particle has traveled, at the speed of light off into the distance. It's long gone.
Oh, because this person in the rocket is observing time at a different rate than the person that's stationary on ground control.
I don't know if that's why it is, but that's
shit. Let's pretend that's why, because I understand.
Oh wait, it might be. It might be. In fact, probably. I don't know if Quantanaut or Dr. Blitz is here. Either one of them is going to be way more qualified to do this than I am.
Sure.
I tried my best. We'll see how
I understand what you're saying.
see
now.
how they'll break it down.
I can't see the comments if they are breaking it down, but I'm assuming that's why, is because the rocket ship experiences time at a different. They exist at a different point in time than the person.
All right, we got this goddamn science
beautiful.
communicator. Come and communicate your science, Dr. Blitz.
Dr. Blitz.
Well, that was actually a necessary thing. Yeah, so you're basically right. The point is that in the amount of time that in the amount of so from ground control's reference frame, it'll take, I don't know, an hour for the gap between the rocket and the little dot of light
Mhm.
to grow to be however big it's going to be. Let's say it's like 100 feet or something like that.
Sure.
But the clocks on the rocket are ticking very slowly. So when that gap gets to be 100 feet from the perspective of ground control,
Yes.
very, very little time will have passed on the clock on the rocket ship. Ground control can like zoom in on the clock on the rocket ship's wall and it'll have ticked like a fraction of a second, right? And so the relevant feature here is that 1 second on the rocket is is many seconds from ground control's perspective in exactly the right amount so that the relative distance at a certain amount of time is always in agreement. So there will never be an inconsistency here. The clock ticks just slow enough, space is contracted just enough from the rocket's perspective that these kinds of apparent disagreements actually cancel out. And so it all wonderfully ties together.
Okay. I was right there until the end, but I think I understand enough of it.
Well, because there's length contraction too, right? So imagine that there was like a wall, like there was a ruler behind all of them, like a ruler going off for hundreds of thousands of miles in each direction.
Yep.
To the side of the rocket ship. From the rocket ship's perspective, that ruler is going to shrink. Like the distance between each, the inch marks or whatever will get smaller.
Yeah.
And so the distance that it will say the light beam is away from it as measured by this ruler will be different than the distance that ground control will see.
Okay.
So there's two effects. There's the clock on the rocket ship is slower, and the rocket ship measures distances as shorter than ground control does. Those two effects will play together so that the apparent inconsistencies become consistent.
Okay. This is new to me. I'm trying to understand. I think I understand. I appreciate you explaining it. You've done a great job.
Yeah.
And then, Ian, is your argument here that for the B theory of time, both states can simultaneously exist or be real, I guess is what you said, without it being like contradictory?
Yeah. That's what physics seems to indicate. It's really hard to square physics with the current understanding that we have right now. It's really hard to square physics with presentism. It might even be impossible, given the fact that, there is no one now. That's like one of the effects, is that there isn't like a unique privileged present moment. So it kind of doesn't make sense to say that there is like, I don't know, like a right now, which would be required for presentism. There are just
The
different
right now-
nows for
but there is a-
different.
Right. There's a now
reference
relative
frames.
to me.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Relative to your reference frame.
Yeah. You're not an idealist, are you?
It depends what you mean by that.
Like idealism, unless I'm mixing up philosophical terms, the idea that like what is truly existing is what's existing within the mind, rather than.
No. Well, so technically what I am an idealist about time, technically, because
Okay.
I do think that time exists, like the passage of time exists exclusively within the mind.
Yes. So why wouldn't that lead you to the A theory of time? I guess I'm confused.
Because there is no actual in reality moment. There's like an actual present. There's only a present relative to different reference frames.
But maybe I don't follow. If the only thing that exists is what's existing within the mind, temporally, wouldn't your argument be that?
Oh no! Wait, I'm sorry. That's probably. So space-time does have mind-independent existence. Like the entire space-time object, like the four-dimension space-time, that thing exists. The passage of time is the thing that I'm an idealist about. That
So
the
you-
passage of time exists only within the mind.
Okay, I understand that. So you do think or I'll ask, do you think there is a reality that exists objectively outside of subjective experience?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I'm segueing away from points too much. Sorry.
That's okay.
But where do I want to go with this?
Sorry to interrupt. Ian,
Sure.
did someone say that I don't know how to use an oscilloscope?
I don't even know.
Gosh, Dr. Blitz is about to get in an oscilloscope measuring competition.
I used to own one.
Damn, times are hard.
I literally bought it for my own uses, not even for class or anything, just because I'm a dork.
Holy shit, what a nerd.
I
What,
know.
is that the fucking thing that does like the waves?
Yeah.
Okay. Holy shit. That's you like went out and bought one of those?
Yeah, I used to build lasers and I needed to test some high frequency circuitry.
Holy fuck. That sounds like intense. Damn.
Yeah, so whoever said that, I'm gonna fight them. And if it was Quantanaut, we're now feuding.
Yeah, let's get this motherfucker in the guest request box. Whoever said that Dr. Blitz doesn't know how to use an oscilloscope, we're gonna have like an integration off right this second. We'll do an integration bowl right here. You versus Dr. Blitz.
Ian, I don't want to monopolize your time.
Biblically accurate Dr. Blitz. Holy shit. That's funny. Oh. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to monopolize your time. I don't want to go through like too many arguments. I'm assuming you get like the intelligent intelligent life can't be created from non-intelligence, or like I'm assuming you get these arguments all the time, right?
Yeah. So I just
I
don't
don't
know why
want-
that would be true.
Do you think I don't even know what the exact argument is. Something to the effect of, in order to have an intelligent creation, you need an intelligent creator. Or I think it begins with all things that have a beginning need to have a cause, but you don't believe the universe had a beginning, correct?
Yeah. Also, this is like a different argument than like the intelligent design stuff.
No, I know. I think that one might be.
Yeah. But
Um,
I also think, gosh, I'm gonna try out a new argument on you. It's not entirely a new argument. It builds in stuff that I've ran before. But
yeah.
do you think God's act of creation began to exist?
Do I think God's active creation began to exist? Without thinking too much, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So then God's act of creation would have a cause. What do you think
Yes.
like the cause of God's act of creation would be?
God's will.
Okay, does God willing the act of creation, does that begin to exist?
No, probably not.
Okay, so then God is eternally willing that creation exists. And then, God causes things by necessitating them.
Yes.
Therefore, it would just be necessitated from eternity that God acts to create.
I guess I would have to ask what you mean by will, because I can will that I graduate college, and there's still a point in time in which I graduate college. It doesn't mean it's like happening my entire life.
So, okay. I'm asking about like the proximate cause, like the thing that's immediately before God's acting to create. You're saying that there's like a delay, that God's willing creation is the thing that caused it, or is that God's willing creation is the thing that causes his active creation. But you're saying that his active creation began to exist, but his willing it is eternal.
Sorry, when I said will, I'm using will as synonymous with desire.
Oh, sure. So, okay. You're saying that just God desiring it was the thing that caused the act of creation?
Yeah, like you might be able to argue against desire because like does an omnipotent thing desire, but like as we understand desire, God has eternally desired to create. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean the creation was eternally created.
But when he goes from desiring creation to acting to create, I guess like what causes that change?
Maybe I feel like the God's act itself, it's like the determinist argument, but God's the beginning of the causal chain. Like the first thing to be a cause is God's hand in, I think it's Aristotelian argument. Right, like God is what creates the change. I guess I'm confused what you're asking.
So, okay.
Am I misunderstanding you?
I think a bit, but I'm probably not doing myself any favors is the problem. Okay, wait, let me maybe this is like a great use case for the notepad again. Okay, so you're saying we have like the chain of causation.
By the way, I'm gonna dip out. I have to go somewhere.
Thank you, Dr.
Oh
Blitz.
this guy isn't
You're
even
welcome.
trying to come up with a real excuse. All right,
Well,
later,
I just want
Blitz.
to
I
tell you about my
appreciate
medical
you.
stuff. Okay,
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
fight me. Also, Quanta, we're now in a feud.
Okay, so we got the chain of causation. So we got God's act of creation,
Yes.
and that God's act of creation causes creation.
Yeah, and like to give a little more information, I don't believe I don't know if we know if the universe is eternally existent. So that's like I'm agnostic on it. But in this argument tree, the universe was created.
Yep. Okay, so we got God's willing creation causes God's active creation, then God's active creation causes creation.
Yes.
So you're saying that God's willing creation is something that always existed,
Yes.
and then that causes God's active creation, which did not always exist.
Causes is an interesting word. God himself causes it. It's the motivating factor, which I think is different than causing.
For which one? Wait, which one are you saying doesn't have a cause?
Well, no, it does have a cause from A to B, willing to the act. It does have a cause, but I don't think the will itself is the cause. God is the cause. The will is what makes God do it.
Okay.
Or like what, I don't believe in determinism, but what makes God like want to do it.
Yeah, sure. So,
Yeah.
okay, wait. So then, do you agree with the dialogue or?
Yeah, roughly. I just didn't want you to argue that like the willing is what caused the act.
Oh wait,
but
wait.
like
What causes the act?
God. It's like there's a separate thing to the side that would be God's will informs God to act. But I don't think it's
Okay, sure.
deterministic.
So you just want to say,
I just don't think it's deterministic, like one to one. I think there's something missing.
okay, so we got God, and then God causes God's act of creation.
Chain of causation. Yeah.
Okay, yes. So what changed that gave rise to creation? Because God always existed, and then, but his act of creation did not always exist. What changed?
I hate when theists argue like we don't know, but like within this argument, it would just be that God decided to create.
Gosh, my chat is a bunch of fucking babies. Oh my gosh, I gotta
happened?
sanitize it for my chat.
Wait, what's wrong with it?
It's too bright.
Yeah, it's hard to read comments, I'm not gonna lie. If that's what they're referring to.
These guys.
So needy, right? But it's not their
Yeah.
fault. It was determined to be this way. You can't judge them.
True.
Side note, have you read about like moral luck, Nagel?
Have I I'm vaguely familiar with the concept. Also I think that there's like pretty intuitive cases of it, but no, I haven't read Nagel or anything.
You should read his moral luck thing. It's about like determinism, kind of, sort of, and moral responsibility. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. There are like intuitive cases. Like there was one time, I got to invoke it in like a personal conversation with like a friend. There was like a friend of mine who told me that he like drove home drunk one time, and I explained to him that that's like basically as bad as like
As killing,
as killing someone. Yeah, I was like, listen, like
wait, yeah. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
no, go for it.
That's actually not what Nagel's arguing.
Oh,
Which is
is it
weird.
not?
This would be like resultant luck, which is like if. Do you mind if I give you the?
Yeah, go for it.
So if there's two truck drivers and they both wake up on Monday morning and both truck drivers see that. Am I talking too fast?
Okay, wait. So two truck drivers both wake
I'll
up on.
talk slower. Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Two truck drivers both wake up on Monday morning and their check engine brake lights on.
Yep.
They both go to work, pretend they have to work to provide for their family, blah, blah, blah. And like everyone's seen check brake lights on. They go to work Monday, get home back fine. Tuesday, get home back fine. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, get home fine. And I forgot to mention this. On Monday, they both said and genuinely meant they're going to go to the mechanic on Saturday when they have free time. On Friday, they're driving home, and this is also like a counterfactual world, so they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
obviously.
that's fine.
They both step on their brake at a stop sign. Both of their brakes fail. One rolls through, and it's a crosswalk stop sign. One rolls through, no one's crossing. They get home okay. One rolls through, a kid's crossing. Whatever happens to the kid happens. The argument that, Nagel doesn't say what like is the argument, but what he's saying is like we as society judge these two actions differently, and I actually agree with you where it's like we shouldn't judge them differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all that to say it's really, really interesting. It's a really interesting
Yeah,
work.
that is interesting. Yeah. But no, I don't know. I think that that's like obviously true, right? Like, you know, we for sure,
Well,
like
also-
if you're doing something negligent, yeah, like you should be responsible for it, even if
Nothing
even
bad
if the
happens.
bad outcome doesn't happen. You should still be thought of as being like I don't know. You should view even if you didn't do the harm, like you're. I think virtue ethics accounts for this quite well, actually.
I just took a virtue
Because
ethics
virtue
class.
ethics wants to say that like good versus bad comes down to like character traits, like how good is your character.
Yeah.
And what you want to say, like the indite there, is that these guys are both like equally bad in terms of like their character. Like,
Yes.
but you know, one of them is viewed as worse. So I don't like, obviously consequentialism seems to be like the target of like an argument like that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm a like a deontologist,
Yeah.
which
Gosh.
like still don't gosh me. You still can't. You can't universally expand that maxim. You can't do it. But, like,
True.
your argument shouldn't be they should be judged the same. Your argument is that there should be no judge applied because, like, there's three arguments, which is you should judge them differently, because the consequences. You should judge them the same because they did the same thing, or you should judge them the same because you can't judge people. But your argument should be the third. It shouldn't be about their character. It should be more about we don't have the right to judge people because, like, our judging actually isn't even our choice. But theoretically, like, we shouldn't judge people because.
Wait, can you run that by me one more time? I think I missed that.
Yeah, sorry. We're not talking about God anymore, and I don't. Maybe you do philosophy too, but my argument, I haven't thoroughly thought this out, but it seems like there's three opinions you can take on this argument or this scenario. The first one is you should judge them differently because of like consequentialism. The second is that you should judge them. Wait, I just said differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The second is that you should judge them the same because broadly their intention and character were the same when they did the action. Or you should judge them the same, and that judgment should be a lack of judgment. And determinists, I think, should agree with the third one because you shouldn't judge people for things that are outside of their control when they're like constituency and circumstances they find themselves in are all outside of their control. Why judge the person? Unless you are judging them to implement a new causal, what's
So
it called? Yeah.
yeah, so here's the problem. I think that for the third one, I don't think that the third one follows from determinism because I think that what you could be indicting is their reasons responsiveness. You could say you didn't respond to the morally relevant reasons, and that's the thing that we're criticizing you for, even though, you know, your responses. Well, yeah, that's typically how moral responsibility, or one of the ways that it's cashed out under compatibilism, is you say,
Oh, are you a compatibilist?
yeah, you say,
Oh,
well,
okay.
but even like a determinist could say this, like, what you're indicting is the level of moral responsiveness that they are towards like the morally relevant reasons. You can
But
say like you were not responsive to the morally relevant reasons that you were aware of, or you were responsive to them, so that's like
Yeah.
praiseworthy
But why praise or punish? It seems
because
like in
they're
a deterministic,
responsible.
but they're not. In determinism, they are like not responsible. It
No,
seems
they
like
are.
determinism.
It's
How are they
their-
responsible?
It's
Could they have
because
done
their action
otherwise?
produced it.
Could they have
You
done
don't-
otherwise?
You don't need to be able to be responsible.
Oh, you don't think so?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. So okay. You might want to
This
say
can get into,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, I don't think you need to have the ability to do otherwise in order to be morally responsible. I think that you can indict somebody just based on like the level of like reasons responsiveness they are. In the same way that, you know, I might indict my computer as being like a piece of shit, even though it couldn't have done otherwise.
But you're not morally condemning your computer.
No, I know I'm not, but I'm like holding it responsible for its
In a different way than-
performance, like with
but that's-
respect to this.
You're not like normatively holding it responsible, though. That's the point I'm getting at.
I think there probably is normativity there, but it's not like a moral normativity.
Yeah, sorry. There probably is like it ought to do better, but not morally ought to do better. I
Yeah,
guess is
yeah.
what- and I think that's how like you should probably. Sorry, we can get back to the point, but I feel like that's how determinists should probably judge all actions is not moral normativity, but
I mean, yeah, okay, wait. We should get back to the topic, but I do want it to be known that I disagree with that. But okay, cool. So so in terms of the argument that's on screen, for the chain of causation, so what changes between 1 and 2 that gives rise to like what changes that gives rise to 2 that wasn't present already at 1?
changes to give rise at 2 that wasn't present at 1. God wills it to be so. Like, I know that might not answer exactly, but, and I tried to answer before I ask a question. If I'm throwing a ball, what changes from my desire to throw the ball to the ball being thrown.
If you're throwing a ball, what changes between your ball? Probably like.
It just feels like a really difficult question
So
to answer.
I think that you're going to be able to go moment by moment, and then you're going to be able to map it out like in the neurons and like the transfer of energy throughout the neurons.
Then whatever like the equivalent of God's mind would be my answer.
Okay, so you think that there's like
Like an immaterial mind, yeah.
yeah. So here's the problem: is that okay? So this like change, this process of change within God's mind, was it like eternally happening, or did it start at some point?
The process of change.
Yeah.
The desire is eternal. The process of change was not eternal. But like time doesn't apply to God, so I can't even answer that question.
1 sec.
God-
Let me.
Yeah, God's a timeless being, so like I can't answer questions about his mind being bound to time.
Okay, wait. So I'm moving this down for space, and then. Okay, let me go right there, and then okay. So you're saying that what happened is that what gave rise immediately to God's act of creation is that God willed creation.
Yeah, like I would struggle to answer this for any question. Like
Sure.
what is the difference between wanting something to happen and like making it happen other than making it happen? I struggle to answer that.
So, I mean, I think the physicalist has an answer, which is that it's like different regions of the brain that you're translating specific thoughts into
What
action,
ca-
or like specific
what
desires
causes
into
that?
action.
What causes that though?
It's going to come down to laws of physics with respect to like the brain. Just the evolution of neural circuitry over time.
Okay.
So, do you think that God willing creation, this God-willed creation event, do you think that that begins to exist, or do you think that it always existed?
Willed in meaning made it so, that began to exist. Willed in desire, that
Okay,
Eternally
yeah.
existed.
Like mentally made it so, yeah. Okay. Didn't always exist. So, okay, so this didn't always exist. So then you're saying that
Wait, sorry.
This-
Can I say one thing? I don't mean
Yeah,
to cut you off. In God's perspective, it always existed. I think that's an important disclaimer.
from God's perspective, did creation always exist?
Yes. God's experiencing.
Oh, buddy,
every
I think you
moment.
have bigger problems.
Why is that? God's experiencing.
I think that you're almost certainly about to collapse into the B theory of time.
I don't think God experiences time.
No, I know. But
I think-
okay, let's.
I think physical subjects experience time, or not even subjects, physical things experience. Maybe though. Tell me. Yeah. He's
Sure.
collapsed my worldview.
So, okay. If God believes something, is it true?
I don't know if God has. Maybe I'm not educated. I don't know if God has beliefs.
Or I don't
I
know.
think-
Like if God, from God's is everything from God's perspective true? If something
Ye-
exists in God's perspective, is it true?
To God, yes.
But is it absolutely true?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So, from God's perspective, creation eternally exists. So it must just be true that creation
No,
eternally
sorry. God.
exists.
Maybe I misspoke. God is eternally experiencing creation, is what I should have said. I don't know if that makes your argument different.
In
or
order
the
to
same.
experience the thing, it needs to exist, right?
Yeah. I just want to make sure. that you-
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
what was
God's eternally experiencing creation. So then creation just must eternally exist.
To God, yes.
Okay. And from God's perspective, if something is within God's perspective, then it's true absolutely.
Yes, probably.
So then creation exists always absolutely.
Relative to God, yes.
But okay.
We're not.
Did you catch that just now?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to say if God experiences something, it is true. So it's not relative to God. It is relative to all things.
Yeah.
Because
just
it
like
is
it's
true.
Yeah.
Right.
It must be absolutely true. So if from God's perspective,
But
creation
something can
always
be absolutely
exists,
true. Something can be absolutely true and we don't experience it. So those aren't
something can be
necessarily
absolutely
good.
true, but we sure. But from God's perspective, he's experience, like if God experiences something, then that thing must actually be the case.
Yes.
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 So from God's perspective, creation always exists because he's always experiencing it.
Yes. So the conclusion would be creation has always existed in God's perspective. That
Which is the
conclusion.
absolutely true perspective, correct?
Creation has always existed within God's perspective, which is the true perspective. Yes, we have incorrect perspectives.
Okay, but then in actuality, creation has always existed.
Yes, but not in our perspective. Our perspective's incorrect.
Sure. Okay, that's fine. But that undermines the kalam because that
What's the
indicates
kalam?
That everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Is the kalam?
Everything that begins to exist within our perspective has a cause. If you want me to add that to it.
Oh, everything that begins to exist in our perspective has a cause?
Yes.
So you're not making a claim about like absolutes. You're just saying, okay, then what would be the?
I don't think
so-
we have access to any truths of the universe.
What?
Yeah, I don't think we have access to any truths. I think like you don't
Huh?
either.
You for sure don't want to say that.
I do. I don't think we have access to truths. I'm not going to be as like hardcore.
Is that
religious as-
true? Is it true that we don't have access to any of the truths in the universe?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we have things that like point us at truths, but I think it's impossible to separate our perspective from the truth itself because truth would be objective.
I think you want to refine this one a bit. I don't think you want to
Maybe.
say, because what you just said is that you don't even think the thing that you just said is true.
I don't think we have access to know if it is true. No.
But do you have access to know if that's true? The thing that you just said?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's like the same. It's the same with morality. It's possible that there's an objectively correct moral stance, but we don't have access to this moral stance.
I think that this line of thinking probably needs a bit more time in the oven, respectfully.
Then the what? Sorry.
I think that what you just said needs a bit more time in the oven.
In the oven.
respectfully.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I
Why?
think you should spend. Well, it's self-defeating.
Why is it self-defeating?
You're literally saying that you don't know the things that you're affirming. That
This isn't
everything that you
self-defeating.
say is something
Yeah.
that you're committed to saying you don't know that. Like,
That's not self-defeating. That's like a philosophical principle. I forget who says it. But it's a philosophical principle. Like you can't prove what you're saying outside of the perspective of you. That's just true.
what?
This feels like epistemological like arrogance to say that you have access to the truth. You don't.
But then to say that I don't have access to the truth, that would need
I don't
to be
know if
true.
that's correct. I don't know if that's
But
correct.
wait,
either.
but is that true that I don't have access to the truth?
I just said I don't know if that's correct either. That's the point.
It looks
you
like
can look
it
it
sounds
up.
like you end up collapsing into saying that nobody knows anything.
Yes, exactly. I'm like a skeptic, kind of.
I think this
You're
stance-
grimacing, but this is like.
I think this one.
Epictetus?
I think this one needs.
Epictetus. I think Epictetus.
Yeah. No, you're a global skeptic.
Yeah.
But
This
global
isn't like a.
skepticism is just like plainly self-refuting.
How do you prove your claims to be true?
It's going to depend on the claim. So let's take like an easy claim to prove to be true. So
Sure.
I don't know. Let's say truth exists is a claim that I know
Okay.
to be true.
Okay.
So the way that I know that truth exists is true is because even if nothing existed, it would be true that nothing existed. No matter what exists, it's going to be true that that thing exists, which means that truth must necessarily exist.
Do you have? Sorry, but that's relying on the laws of philosophy, or the laws of logic. How do you know the laws
Which
of logic are true?
ones?
Oh my gosh, can you repeat the claim? Every argument relies on the laws of logic. I can
Sure.
point out which one.
So yeah, let's just get like specific about like which ones. So okay, truth
I'm not
must
gonna lie, I
exist because
I might not be able to point out exactly which ones, but I might be able to remember some from integral logic.
truth must exist because in any state of affairs, it's going to be true that that state of affairs exists.
I'm on the phone. Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
That's okay. In any state of affairs, in any like determinate state of affairs, it's going to be true that that state of affairs exists, that it obtains.
Yes.
So if it's true that that state of affairs obtains, then truth must exist.
Wait, sorry, I'm not saying there's a fallacy here. What I'm saying is this relies on the laws of logic. This
which-
is a logical. Yeah, this is just a logical argument.
Yeah, which one do you want justified? So okay,
No, I don't want
worst
them
case
justified.
scenario.
Sorry, I don't want them justified. I want logic itself justified.
So worst case scenario with respect to that, I guess you could probably take one of two routes. Either you could be like some type of coherentist. I don't think people have very good critiques of coherentism, and you could just accept circularity and then say that it's fine because if the entire thing coheres, then it's
But that
okay
doesn't
that
make it-
there's like dependence relations between things, that
Sure,
like the
but that
entire
doesn't
thing
make it true.
cohering still grants justification. The alternative is that you could argue via self-defeat that certain like laws of logic are inevitable.
I don't believe in the second one. The first one doesn't make it true either.
Are
Right.
we asking about like justification or what are we asking?
Yeah, why is logic justified?
So yeah, like the first route that I explained, you
Wait,
can
I
get
guess I'm asking you.
justification on
I
the
guess I'm
basis of
asking-
it cohering. That
I'm asking
some-
you, what do you believe? Do you believe both of them?
I'm in between views. I don't know.
I guess
I
that's
could
hard
go
to
either way.
argue. Sure. Do you want to just pick the circular one since you said it's hard to argue
Sure.
against?
Yeah, I'm reading. I've been reading into this. I'd like to hear the critiques of it.
Never
Um,
heard of it, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, it's called coherentism. It was popularized by a dude named Quine in like the 19 somethings.
It seems like just because something is self-reinforcing does not mean it's true. Like this doesn't.
It's a question
answer
of if you're justified in believing it.
That doesn't mean it's true though. You can be justified in believing something that's untrue.
We just shifted the goalposts.
I did
At first,
No, my whole argument would be, how do you prove your belief is true?
I asked, "Are you asking like why would I be justified in believing that it's true?" And you said yes.
Why would you? Oh, sorry. If I said yes, I misspoke. My question was, how do we know that logic is correct?
Are you asking like how do we know like what justifies our belief in it? Or are you asking like
No, I think
Something-
we have justified beliefs in everything. My argument is that
What?
the j-
then you just
Yeah.
think that we know things?
no, our justified belief doesn't mean that things are true. Do you see how these are different things?
Justified well, no, I agree with that. Wait, do you think knowledge requires like absolute certainty?
No, but no, that's not my argument at all. My argument is that we won't know the truth. True knowledge requires absolute certainty. Yes, we have
So
perceived
you
knowledge.
do think that knowledge requires absolute certainty?
Like correct knowledge. No, sorry, I don't believe that. No.
I'm not sure what the problem is then.
It doesn't matter whether. Yeah, sure. So, a few things. The reason true knowledge doesn't require certainty is because you can be correct about something but be uncertain.
Yep.
My argument is that there's no way for us to know if we are correct. Even if we are, there's no way for us to know. That is my argument.
There's a lot of literature on that. I don't think that's true. So, for example, you know, I know that I have thoughts, and I know that I know that I have thoughts, and I know
Can you define?
that I
I
know.
don't
that
want to be
know that I have
pedantic, but can
thoughts.
you define thoughts?
Just like mental states that are about propositions.
What if you're in a computer right now?
What if then I would still have mental states that are about propositions?
No, you think you have mental states or perceived mental states?
They would still be mental states.
What do you
They're
think a
just like-
mental state is? Do
It's
you
like
not think
something
of,
that's like qualitatively experienced that has like an object.
I think biology is a precursor for mental states.
I think if it turns out that we all live in a computer, I'd still think that mental states exist. I would just say,
But
well, I
that's
guess like
because it
mental
feels
states
like
are just
you would
like
change the
zeros and
definition.
ones.
Yeah, but no one actually thinks that mental states are zeros and ones.
So okay, before we knew that water was H2O,
I
do you
love this,
think
yeah.
when somebody says like water exists, they were wrong because they didn't know that water was H2O?
No.
Yeah. So similarly, even if there's like some new piece of information that comes out later that reveals that actually mental states are zeros and ones, I don't think it follows from that fact that like mental states don't exist or that I didn't know that mental states existed.
You would have to change if we're
Yeah.
agreeing on a definition.
Yeah,
and
you would
we-
change the definition, but you still
Right,
knew that
yes,
it
which means-
existed.
But sorry, if our understanding, like in this H2O example, I forget who wrote about it, but within the paper, he writes about going to a different planet where they call something else water.
Yes.
And I wish I
His
remembered
name's
this. better.
Putnam.
Sure, yeah, Putnam Investments. So this guy talks about mental state and water, and basically the argument is that language isn't. I don't think language is real either. Language is how we classify things.
You
to
that
express.
that one for sure
Sure.
needs more time in the
I
oven.
can narrow it down for you. Language is how we express concepts, but there are no true truths about language.
I don't know if that's true.
This is like the typical define a chair.
Like, okay, so I agree that like a lot of concepts are confused. I think that especially a lot of like folk concepts, like what people take things to be like a chair, for example, or I think like in general, people are going to be quite confused about concepts, and that if you went out and like empirically surveyed the way that people use certain terms, you're going to get a pretty incoherent definition of the term, all things considered. Like, I think that that's true. But I don't think that it follows from that like nothing means anything or something of that sort.
No, that's not my argument. It means something to us, but that doesn't mean it's true. That's been my whole argument this whole time. Like a chair means something to us, but I don't know
What
if
would be
there's
the
like
truth conditions?
I think that you need to be I don't like what do you need to be true in order to know
Like
something
what
is true?
would need to be the case in order for language to meet? I'm not sure what your point. Like for language to be real, what would need to
Sorry,
be true?
I can tell you my point. So
Yeah.
you brought up water. And
Yeah.
you said, did water change? And I said, maybe the definition of water changed, but that's besides the point. This thing that we perceive as water that serves the function of water exists to us, but that doesn't mean that this thing that we call water exists objectively.
Like the term
Outside of our perspective.
or
What'd you say? I didn't hear you.
this is like a baffling position.
You keep saying that. These are like well-known philosophical positions. It's interesting.
They might, I don't know if I'd say that they're like well known. Okay, wait, we got Good Faith Gary in the house.
I love good faith.
What's up? Do you think we're like talking past each other or something?
I'm not sure because so guest, you said
Yeah, my name's Brian, by
that-
the way. Sorry.
sure. Brian, you said that there are no true claims about language or something like that.
Sorry, I don't know what I say exactly.
Sure. Because
My argument.
I really don't think you want to say that because it seems like what you're doing there is
I can tell you
sort
what.
of claiming something about language, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like
So my original argument was that we have no way to know if our claims are true outside of our perspective. That's
if our
my
what are
original-
true, sorry?
If any of our claims are true outside of our perspective. And what you're saying about my claim about language, I agree. I don't know if I'm correct about that, and there's no way for me to know if I'm.
Well, it's not just that you don't know that you're correct about that. It's that like
There's
you're
no
not
way to know if I'm-
justified in believing it. Maybe
No. That's not. That doesn't follow.
Well,
I can be
What?
justified in
What?
believing anything.
What?
well, I don't think that's necessarily.
It depends
true.
what you mean
So-
by. It depends what you mean
Yeah,
by
it depends on your
justified.
theory of justification, but
But if I
like-
believe something is justified, if I believe it to be so, then I'm justified in believing it.
yeah, but I don't think that's what anyone means by justification, right? Like, I don't think anybody thinks that all
Maybe,
you
but just
need
because no one thinks it doesn't mean they're correct.
is justified. No, I'm just saying that, like, if you're using the word justified to mean just any belief you believe is true, then you're just using the word in a way no one else does.
Yeah,
See,
I'm
so
doing
early-
that with like my theory of knowledge as well.
You're using the word in a way that no one else is.
Yeah, like not many people think of knowledge in the way
why
that
would
I
you do that? That doesn't.
Why would I? Because I'm an agent that has my own mind. I'm confused.
I feel that doesn't
Well, sure, but-
seem very productive.
Wait, what doesn't? I can't have my own
If we
opinions
use
about.
knowledge, no,
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
not that you can't have your own opinions. It's just that if we use the word knowledge in the way that everybody else does, do we
Yeah.
agree that like nothing that you're saying is
Well, this is like 90% of philosophy. Yeah, I think colloquially I can use the word knowledge, and like this
Wait,
whole conversation. I
Charsky,
have,
you're lagging out a bit,
brutal?
but I think you
Right.
might be fine.
I think he asked a good question though. Colloquially, I can use the word knowledge, and when I'm not having philosophical arguments and I talk about knowledge, then like I can use the word knowledge as in we know gravity is 9 point whatever meters per second squared, right? Like I can talk about that kind of stuff. But when we're arguing philosophically about like God and our knowledge of what exists, now we're getting into what is actual knowledge. And I don't believe that those types of knowledges are the same. I think knowledge of gravity is an expression of what we experience, but there's no justification that our experience is correct.
I don't
And like
want
you
to
guys
be.
can keep saying,
I don't want to be
that
like
doesn't
the
make s-
language pervert, but I guess like could we? Would you mind giving like maybe like a definition of the term knowledge? Like, what do you take when you say we know things? What do you take that to be? I'm happy to give you like the
Philosophically?
standard account too, right? Like the justified true belief. We could do that, or
Yeah. So I can answer all of these. Could you just tell me one at a time? Like philosophically, what is knowledge? Or like
yeah, like when you say
epistemologically?
nobody can know anything, what do you mean by that?
I didn't say no one can know anything. I said if I did, what I meant is no one can know that their beliefs are true. And what I mean by that is, do you want me to define knowledge, or do you want me to tell you why? I believe
Yeah,
that?
when you say no one can know that their beliefs are true, what do you mean by no there?
What do I mean by no? There is no way to check outside of human perspective whether or not your beliefs are true. Therefore, our justification for beliefs will always be justified by like subjective measures.
Well, that's just sort of trivial. If all you're saying is just that you can't like
Yeah,
have
this
any
is
knowledge
literally
of
my
something
argument.
that an agent doesn't have knowledge of, if you're saying something like that,
Can you
I don't
repeat that?
think
Sorry, I didn't hear the first
No,
part.
you're good. Yeah. If all you're saying is something like you can't have knowledge of anything that like an agent doesn't have any acquaintance with or is in no way, like if you're saying just the fact that like we can't have knowledge of things that are totally unrelated to agents because when we know things that we're in some relationship with and the things and as agents, that means is that something like what you're saying?
Not exactly. It's not that we don't know things because we don't have familiarity with it. It's that even when we have familiarity with it, our familiarity is seen through a perspective that is biased and subjective to humans, and there's no way to check that outside of our perspective.
That's just because what it means to know something is for an agent to know something, right?
Right. No, that's
Like, you
what
can't-
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying colloquially, but philosophically, when we're talking about God's knowledge of the universe eternally exists. Wait, when we're talking about God's knowledge of the universe eternally existing, I'm saying we don't know that. I think this is where it came from. We don't know that to be true because we didn't experience it, but it is still true. But relative to our perspective, it's not true. But we can be wrong in believing something, even if we believe it to be true.
Yeah, I agree with the last bit there, but it seems like what you're saying is just something like, because the only way to come to know something is to come to know something as an agent, right? And the only way
No, sorry, not as an agent. That's like the thing. You can't know something as an agent.
What?
What?
That is
So
whole
you're just
argument.
saying like nobody has knowledge?
Oh my gosh. When you say knowledge there, what are you referring to?
We
So
just
like-
use justified your belief.
Yeah, it's not like a justified true
No, I-
belief.
I
It's
do- I
not
think
perfect,
people
but
have-
it's like fine.
You said knowledge is a justified belief.
Let's a justified true belief.
No, I think it's possible people do. That wasn't my argument. My argument is
Okay.
there's no way to know which beliefs are a justified true belief.
So, okay, wait. You just said like a sentence that I'd like to hone in on, which is that
Can we write this down
Agents-
if you don't mind?
okay.
Like,
so
could you write? Yeah, just
so
so
you're
we
saying
don't.
agents cannot know things? Is that did you
Agents
just-
cannot know if what they believe to be true is true.
agents cannot know if
We can get
what
rid of
they
the word
believe
"know" if you want. Like if you want to use a different word,
to
so
be
we're not.
true is true.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're just saying like for anything that we think is true, we can't have like a justified belief that it is true?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think that.
What do you mean by knowledge?
It depends how we're using it. Again,
In this
defined it for-
context, what do you mean?
To be true outside, or to be true outside of perspective.
Outside of perspective, that seems
It's
like
like
it
when I-
can't possibly be what it means to know something.
Well, colloquially, it's not. Or I can it's why I asked you if you think there's a world that exists outside of perspective, and you said yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we have access to that world.
So I don't think that anybody uses the term that way because,
I don't-
for example,
Can
one of
you
the
refute-
commitments
yeah.
of this is that if like atheism were true, then all of the things that nobody knows are known
Wait, all the things that nobody knows. How does that follow?
because all those things are true outside of a perspective. Like all the true things that just nobody is aware of, that all those things are known actually
How are they known?
because they're true outside of a perspective.
Who are they known by?
They're not known by anyone. That's the problem with the definition.
How? I guess I'm confused. Oh, I see what you're saying. To know is to be true. I see what you're saying. I defined it poorly. You're right. Actually, no. I'm sticking with that definition. Yeah, I don't. It would be known by God.
Okay, but that's the
knowledge
thing.
is only-
I'm saying I don't think that anybody uses the term know this way. because-
Also, it seems like God knows things from a perspective, namely the perspective of God. but
True.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if we think what it means for something to be a perspective is like sort
a,
of the way an agent
a
sees the world.
subjective perspective.
But God's a subject.
Yeah.
No, God is. If you guys want to talk about if you want to talk about people using words that no one uses it that way, Dean Withers argued this on Jubilee as well, and I like Dean, but or it might have been Parker. One of them argues this. If you're arguing God is a subject, you're using subject in a way that no one else uses subject.
I think that's just straightforwardly untrue. What do you
No.
think most people mean when they use the word subject in like a philosophical context?
Wait, no, but we're not talking philosophically. Like you guys are switching back and forth whether you want to talk philosophically or colloquially.
We want to talk philosophically.
Okay, then philosophically, I would. No, sorry. I think subjective. Maybe I might grant it because I don't really feel like thinking about it. Maybe philosophically.
Well, okay.
Philosophically, how do you think knowledge is defined?
Philosophically, I think it's hotly contentious. Something like a justified true belief.
How do you think knowledge?
It seems to be defined as something like holding the correct belief for the correct reason.
Sure, but you're kind of begging the question. What is correct?
Like true.
What is true? You're just going to say what we
Like,
believe
is
to be
the
true.
case.
What is the case? You're eventually just going to get to like what we believe to be the case. And that's,
No.
so what is the case?
Like if
I'm
you're
like
saying just
baffled
like
by that question.
Why are you
If-
baffled?
well, I think there's a couple problems. I don't know if this is Ian's view, but I'm inflationist about truth. I don't think there's much more to say.
I think I'm
But-
getting like coherentism and inflation pilled. I think I'm getting inflated a bit.
Wait, I don't even know what those. I don't know what those words mean. If I'm being honest
Sure,
with you,
sure.
but
Yeah. I just don't think there's much more to say. So I mean, the
you
way
guys
that
aren't
it's
even engaging with my
generally
argument.
talked about.
My argument isn't that we can't know truth; it's that we can't know if we know truths.
Is your
Yeah,
argument
no,
that we
we
can't
got-
know that we know?
Yes, go look at the definition. We
So
cannot
you
know
think
if
that
what
we can know things, but you don't think that we can know that we know?
We can't know that they are true.
Wait, okay.
This is what I.
Those,
you
that's,
wrote, this,
those
is why
are
I
two.
asked,
Those are two different statements.
this is why I
There's a
asked you to
difference
write it down.
between
Wait, go read-
knowing
go
that
read-
what you
wait, go
believe
read
is
what you wrote
true
down.
and
Go read what you
knowing
wrote down.
that you know something.
Yeah, go read what you wrote down.
Yeah. Okay.
What you believe to
Agents
be
cannot-
true is true.
Yeah, but then
You
you
can't-
just said we can't know that we know. That's different from
No, we
agents
can't
cannot
know-
know if what they believe is true.
That's been my whole argument.
But these are different statements is the problem.
I promise you, maybe I'm wrong. People are wrong all the time. I believe I just said, I'm not arguing we can't know things. I'm not arguing we can't know true things. What I'm arguing is that we cannot know if our beliefs about true things are true or are
Cannot
correct.
know if our beliefs
Is this not what you wrote above?
about. Oh, sure. I thought you said that we cannot know that we know.
Isn't that what it says up there? A little's cut off.
No.
Agents cannot know if what they believe to be true is true.
But I'm asking, is basically what you're trying to say that they can't know that they know?
The truth. But they might know the truth, but there's no way to prove they know the truth. Yes, that's my argument.
Okay, so you are saying that they don't know that they know? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a belief that they know. Yes.
Okay. So then you're just challenging like the KK principle that there are like things where you can would you be like I feel like this is like a universal rejection of the KK principle.
I don't know what the KK principle is.
It's
Could you
just,
define it?
it's like it's something like you know something, but then you know that you know it, and you know that you know that you know it. And
It's just if you know something, then you know that you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you're
All right,
saying that there is nothing for which you know that you know it.
I believe that I know it. But like my question would be before we did the two-slit experiment, like our knowledge was incorrect, but we still knew that we knew it.
What?
Well, I don't think knowledge can't be incorrect.
Do you think
Like,
do you think that's true? Do you think knowledge can't be incorrect?
that's just analytic.
Yeah.
Wait, if knowledge can't be incorrect, then what do we know?
Even on your own definition of knowing things, it includes true.
Wait, sorry, what?
If it's true, then it's not false.
No, sorry.
This is what's called the factivity of knowledge.
Sure, yeah. Could one of you answer my question? If knowledge has to be true, what do we know?
Are you asking for like an exhaustive list of everything?
No,
we
just like one thing other than
Well, list every piece of knowledge.
yeah, right. Like so you can even go scientifically. Do we know anything scientifically?
Yeah, I think we know.
Yeah.
I think we
What
know
do
that.
what do we know?
For example, I don't know. We know that carbon is what, like the sixth. Carbon has like what is it, like 6 neutrons?
Something like that. Something like that.
Are you fact do you,
Is
are
it
you checking something? Sorry.
is it protons? Carbon has 6 protons. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying we know that, right?
Yeah.
Is it possible at some point we develop some type of technology that allows us to see something we would classify as a proton that was previously unobservable?
Something that's classified as then we would have just been mistaken by saying that that's carbon.
Sure, so then we don't know would be my point.
No.
Or no,
we
sorry,
we
wait,
would
this
still
is the-
know in that circumstance that carbon
no.
has 6 protons. We would have just
This
changed
is
our
this is
minds
the
about
H2 this
which
is the
things
H2
are. Yes, it is.
This is-
So there's like a
yeah.
good real life example that goes along with this. So for
Sure.
example, there was a time when we were doing
wait, sorry, wait.
all of our
Can we just pause? Can we just-
classifications. Wait,
can we
let me
just
just get
pause for
through
a
the
second?
example. You're going at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. I just want
But
to give you the example.
You already gave an example. I
So-
want to stick to
Well,
that
wait.
example.
So okay. So we
Okay, we
discovered
won't
that
stick to the
jade,
example.
because there's a real life example that corresponds to this. We
Okay.
discovered that jade isn't actually one thing; it's 2 things.
Like the
that
emerald?
there's like jadeite, and then there's like some other rock that
Okay.
corresponds to jade, and that both of these were called jade.
Okay.
And I mean, now we consider both of them to be jade. So either the term is going to shift, or you're going to shift in terms of like you're going to say actually one of these things just isn't jade.
Yeah,
So-
sure. I agree with that. And this is kind of what I'm getting at. I'm confused how you justify it. Before, like, you can say you wouldn't have, but if you existed in a time where we considered both of them jade, you would have said we had knowledge of what jade is, but we didn't actually have knowledge of what jade is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
depending
sure.
depending on how you define jade, right? If you define jade just as being both of those things, then
Yes, you'd
yeah.
be incorrect. That's
If
actually
if they were under the assumption that jade isn't 2 different things,
Which
then that would be a
everyone was.
false belief, so they wouldn't know it.
but at the time you would have said they know it.
No, I wouldn't. Well, I mean,
See,
at the
this-
time
this
I
is like
might.
the sl-
Wait, sorry.
This is
At
like
the time I might have
this is
said
like the
that.
slavery
At
argument. where you're
the
saying you wouldn't have been
time I
a
might have
slave
said
owner.
that, but that would be incorrect.
Yes, that's my point.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And
So wait, do you
Your
want an
point is just
example of
we can
like
be
something
wrong?
that I can like know that I know that I know? For example, like let's take the facts.
wait, sorry,
that
can we
I've
just stick to one
thoughts.
example at a time? Can we
Well,
just
because
stick to one?
I wouldn't use science as like the example, like the paradigm example of
you
this.
just tried you
brought
to and you were,
science up.
I know, but then I just asked you
Yes.
to
Okay. Wait.
Sure.
I don't.
Can I
I think that
finish?
there's way easier examples than like the
Wait, can I just
scientific
finish one
example.
thought for a second? Can I just
Wait.
finish one
Okay,
thought?
oh my. Okay. I don't know. Sure. Go for it.
Okay, you know what? I want to be respectful of you as well. It's your platform.
Well, wait. Sure. Yeah. Then okay. Let's do thoughts. I know that thoughts exist, and I know that thoughts exist because I have direct access to my internal states, and I'm thinking
Sure,
it would
what-
be self-defeating to think that thoughts don't exist. Therefore,
What is
thoughts
a-
must exist.
What is a thought?
I don't know, like a mental state that's about something,
Okay, how would you define mental state?
like a qualitative state with an object.
What's qualia?
Are
what
you-
it's like. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if the idea is just you're going to keep asking, sort of for a further.
No, I'm not going to keep
definition.
asking what is further. I'm waiting for him to get to something like biological or experiencing what it is to be, which is qualia, like what it's like to be a bat. Like that's what qualia is. And the point I'm getting at is you would admit that your knowledge of thoughts now would be incorrect if you found out we're in computers. You would say,
No.
I would change the one sec. You would say, I would change the definition of thoughts, but I still experience something we call thoughts. But then your knowledge of what a thought is
Wait.
incorrect.
What part of the definition that Ian gave would have to change if
I was trying to,
we were in a
yeah, I was
simulation?
trying to get there. Eventually, qualia, as typically understood in philosophy, is subjective experience.
Yeah, we would still be having subjective experiences.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think code has subjective experiences?
In this circumstance, if it turns out that we're in a computer, then yeah, I would say that code has subjective
So then,
experiences.
what does subjective mean to you right now?
I don't know, like first-person perspective.
Do computers have first-person perspective?
If it turns out we're in a computer, then yes.
No. Your definition, like we can keep going down, but eventually your definition would change. First person, computers aren't people, so then your definition of person would change, right? Like there is somewhere in your tree that your knowledge of a word is incorrect.
But
which
the
means
example, wait, so I is that
Yeah.
not the? I don't know if that just like wasn't the answer that you were hoping for, but that is the answer that I
No.
gave.
That's
is
the
that
answer I was hoping
if
for.
it
Yeah.
turns out that computers had consciousness, that we were just in a computer simulation, if that were the
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
then I would just believe that code has first person experience.
Would you change your definition of first person experience?
I don't see why I would.
Because right now you define first person experience as person, and person would be defined differently as.
The idea would just be that some persons are composed of code.
Yeah. And right now, do you believe that persons are composed of code?
Not currently, but like the definition.
Exactly. So your
change.
definition would change. That's my point.
No,
which
that's
means
a
it
separate
doesn't-
belief than the one in question.
No, because it
the belief
stems
in
on
question
it.
is whether or not thoughts exist. I
No,
know that
because
thoughts
it stems-
exist,
No, because it
and I know
stems
that I
on
know
the
that
fact
thoughts exist.
it stems on the fact that persons exist, and your definition of persons would be wrong, which means you can't
But
justify
that doesn't
belief.
mean that the belief is wrong. For example, just because the belief that just because people had like a specific definition of water in the past, and then
Uh-huh.
that definition changed, doesn't mean that they were wrong in their belief that water existed.
They're not. Well, hold on. I'm not sure that's analogous. One of them is a use case. One of them is a definition of a thing. We define water and how we use it, not as what it is. H2O is the definition of water.
What?
I don't think that makes much sense.
Wait, how do you think you define water? Scientifically, it's H2O. Colloquially, it's use cases.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Wait, you're
use
grimacing. Do you
cases.
disagree? Do you disagree with that?
It sounds like an empirical
I think we
question.
have the one concept of water, which is just the stuff that fills like lakes and rivers and stuff.
That would be a use
I
case.
think that's the one
Yeah,
concept.
that's a
right?
use. That's a use
And
case.
we learn things about that.
Wait, that's
concept, right?
just to be
We
clear.
learn that
That's a use case of water.
okay, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
the problem is that this is consistent with it also being H2O, right? It's just that we discovered that the thing that
yes,
fills
but the
lakes
claim.
and rivers is H2O.
No one's the claim. I'm not making claims about use cases. I'm making claims about definitions. The definition of water isn't that it occupies rivers. That's not the definition of water.
No. Well, that might be part of like an ostensive definition, but sure. I don't. If by definition you mean like
What is it? Like, and it is H2O. That's the definition of water. Right? Like, I think we can at least agree on that. No one says
Sure.
the definition of water is what we drink. That's a use case. Right? Like,
so by use case, do you just mean like
it's
Like the folk concept, or
I'm not
Yeah.
sure what folk means. If that means function, then yes.
no, like folk concept is like what people would say if you like went around. But
Oh, folk, like colloquial.
oh, you mean are you talking? You're maybe taking like a Lockean view of like real essence versus nominal essence.
Maybe it's been a while since I've read Locke.
maybe I'm misunderstanding.
I think we agree right now, though, that there's a different definition between use cases and.
Well, it depends on what you mean. I think because what it seems like you were saying earlier was that there'd have to be some like conceptual truth about like personhood or what it means to be a person that would have to be revived.
Yeah, sorry, but by saying a person or by saying water is what occupies lakes would be the same as saying a person is what I am. That's not a definition.
Depends what you mean by definition. It's like part
sure.
of a
What?
piece of definition. but
What?
Do you want me to re-say it?
No, I heard it. I just don't
Okay.
know why I would think that.
Can you tell me why you wouldn't think that?
I'm saying I don't know why I would think that. Do you have like a justification for why you should?
Yeah, because when you say water is what occupies lakes, what you're saying is within like what we observe, this is how water functions. And when you say the definition of a person is what I am, what you are, this is how the word person functions, but it's not the definition of the word person itself. That's why.
So okay, maybe we could get like clear and linear about this. So people in the 1400s believed water exists. People in the 1400s were wrong about what they thought water was.
It depends how you define that. This is the point I was just expressing.
Sure. Oh wait, sure. So then whether or not I'm wrong about whether or not thoughts exist, doesn't that depend on how you define it?
Yeah, that's why I was asking you to further define what are thoughts. That's why I was
Okay,
asking that.
sure. But if they define it the way that they are defining it,
Sure, if you define thoughts as like, I don't know if there's a
or
way
no,
to
no,
define
like if you
thought.
define like water as like, or
Something I
no,
drink?
go back to fucking the first philosopher, Thales of Miletus. He thought everything was water. So
One
he
second.
thought water existed,
I'm
but
on
he
the
was
phone.
he was deeply confused about like the nature of water.
Sure. Yeah, he would have been wrong about what water was, but correct about like, there's this thing that we use and call water.
Sure. So you can be wrong about the definition of it, but still the idea that the thing exists, you can be correct about still.
The thing no, this is like the issue with language. There's this thing that we call this, and that's, well, I'm talking colloquially when I say it does exist, but like if you want me to be super consistent, he was perceived as correct by everybody today about what he believed water was used for. If you want me to be like consistent with beliefs and knowledge and stuff.
I didn't track that at all. What did you say?
The point you're trying to get at is like, even if he was wrong about what water was, he was right that there is something that is water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, my response is like, he is right relative to everyone else, but there's no way to prove he is right, like outside of, there's no way to prove that I am right about believing he is right.
But sure. So, but all I need you to grant is just that he wouldn't be mistaken when he says that water exists. So I'm telling you that thoughts exist. And even if I'm like
Wait.
radically mistaken about like the nature of thoughts and thinking,
Yep.
it's still going to turn out that thoughts exist. It could be the case that thoughts reduce to like computer
Wait,
code
what-
because we all live in a simulation, but thoughts still exist.
No, maybe we just won't make headway on this because we disagree on language. But if you believe something to be something that it is not, then you aren't talking about the same thing as someone else. The reason you don't think that's true?
No, I think that we can talk about like for example, I think that Catholics and Protestants are both talking about God, even though they disagree. Because so here's the double bind, right?
They disagree on like church. They don't disagree on God.
Well, no, but they disagree about facts about God, right? Like, suppose there's a Protestant who doesn't believe in divine simplicity, right? They're still talking about the same thing that the Catholic is talking about, right? Or
no, this is like the argument that Muslims make for Jesus. Jesus is not worshiping the same God as Muslims.
I don't think that's at all related. Well, I think that's false, but that's okay. But
You can think it's
point is
false.
just-
You can't
yeah,
call
yeah,
your father Abba in Islam. You can call your father father. Anyways, keep going.
Sure. But the point is just that reference is like cheap, right? That like I can be. Here's maybe a more mundane example, right? Like so, suppose me and a friend are disagreeing about whether or not our teacher is like over 6 foot tall, right? Like it's near the edge and we don't know. The fact that we believe and he believes he's under 6 feet and I believe he's over 6 feet, we're still talking about the same thing, right? Like we're still we can sort of coherently disagree because if we're talking past each other, if we're not referring to the same thing, then we're not even disagreeing, right?
Wait, but you guys agree on your reference point, which is measurements. I'm confused what you're getting at.
Well, the point is that earlier you said something like
No,
you
sorry.
disagree
If I
about-
think that like a foot is something different than you think of, if you say he's 6 feet tall and I think of a foot as a chicken, we're talking about two different things.
Yeah, I agree, but the point is just that reference is quite cheap, and we can think that different things are true about something in the world and still be referencing the thing, right? Do we disagree on that?
No, I agree. That wasn't
Okay,
That wasn't what I was saying.
but then it's unclear why you would think that we wouldn't be talking about the same thing in the previous example.
It depends which view of language you take, whether you take the function view or like the definition view. But the function view would posit that if you believe water is something that, like if you come from a society where water is something that will poison you, and I come from a society where water is medicinal, then we are talking about use cases, two different things. If we both believe that water is H2O, then we're talking about things that have different use cases, but are the same thing definitionally. Those are like the two views you can have on language, it seems.
I don't think that this is how basically anybody in the philosophy of language talks about these things. Like I don't think that most people think that there are these different concepts of what words mean.
Yes, they do. This is insane.
Well, no. And that like people are using these different concepts of what words mean in their daily life radically differently, right? Because then it seems like so if we, I don't know, suppose we think that like
We can talk about how like slurs have come to be. Slurs are a really good example of people using words differently, drastically differently.
Wait,
I'm not
we
saying
agree.
that words aren't used
Oh, you guys agree?
differently.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get
Yeah,
hostile or whatever.
what I'm saying is that I don't think that most people think that there are these like radically different understandings of how we think about meaning, the meaning of words, right?
Yeah, like and you're specifically saying like from person to person, like every single person. Are you saying like every single person thinks about it differently, or are you saying?
Are you talking to me or him?
Charsky, are you saying?
I'm saying that so there's this distinction being given between what's being called the functional view and the definition view.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I don't think that makes much sense. I don't think that like people have this like sort of purely functional understanding in some cases and have like this definitional understanding in other cases. I think that most people.
I don't think this is true. I think
Okay.
I don't want to like.
Do you have like examples, maybe?
The one that popped up in my head is like a slur, and I'm not okay with slurs. But
Okay,
it's what a
duly
cigarette.
noted.
It's what a cigarette used to be called.
Yeah, sure.
In different areas of the world at the exact same time, if you use that word, you are referring to drastically different things.
Yep, that's fine. But then these are just different concepts. But you know, the
Yeah.
concept that's getting used is going to be like the same concept depending on like the content. Like you're capable of talking about like a cigarette using that word, and then your friend is capable of talking about that word with the same concept.
The same concept,
Yeah.
and
Like
being
they
using-
also are using the word, but they're using it to refer to cigarettes. So
Oh,
both of
yes,
you guys
yes,
are
yes,
using the
sorry.
same word to refer to
Yes.
the same concept.
yes,
And you can use the same word to refer to different concepts.
and it doesn't seem like you agree with the guy that was just speaking. That
No, I agree we can use words to refer to different concepts. What I was saying is that in philosophy of language, this distinction you're giving, I don't think is one that's like broadly used. Like it's because I mean, actually, I don't know how productive it is to go into like the different ways that philosophers of language think about meaning, but I just don't think this like functional view versus definitional view sort of really carves the views that are taken seriously at
That's
their
like
judgment. But-
that's what the water example of traveling to a different planet was, if I remember correctly.
No, so
Yeah, sure. Maybe I'm remembering correctly. It was 2 years ago. Could
we
you?
don't have to get into the specifics of how Putnam understood the twin thought experiment. Yeah, that's fine.
I didn't hear. Did you say you're going to get into specifics?
I said we don't have to. I don't think it's actually super relevant. But so
Okay.
so to move back to the initial, because I think we've gotten a bit far from the we can't know that we know
Maybe.
anything conversation. So tell me if this isn't what you were saying.
Yeah.
So you're saying that because we might have to like revise our concepts, we can't know that we know anything because it's possible that in the future we might have to revise our concepts, or
Because we have to revise our concepts, it's impossible to know if we know anything. That wasn't exactly my argument, but I would agree with that statement.
Well, okay, wait. So here's something for you.
Sure.
When I was younger, I couldn't figure out how computers worked. I wondered if there was like a little boy just like me living inside of the PC and then like pushing forward like the relevant frames.
Okay.
I grew up and realized that I was very wrong about how computers work.
Yeah.
I think that I knew that computers existed when I was a kid.
You knew something you called it. You believed something you called a computer existed. And like the point I'm getting at is if I asked you to define a computer, you would define something as physical. And then if I asked you what physical was, you would say something that exists within the world and like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually we just get into the computer code argument. And like, you could say, yeah, I would just change my definition of this to fit into the computer code argument. But then that would mean your understanding of it was wrong, which means the definition
Do you think
collapses.
that I didn't actually? Do you think that if childhood me said computers exist, do you think I would be mistaken about that? You think I wouldn't know that computers existed?
Wait, I don't understand how that relates to what I just said at all.
I mean, I'm just trying to get clear on this. Do you think that
Okay,
at that time I would know that computers like?
I think you
it seems
believe
like your argument requires you to say that Ian didn't know what like it was.
I think
true
he
that
believed.
computers
I think he
existed.
believed computers existed, and I think colloquially he knew computers existed.
But
I don't think there's a way to check whether that computer existed.
what? Okay, so you think that I didn't know that computers, or you think I do know that computers existed?
Colloquially, yes, of course,
Colloquially?
yes.
In the same wait, where knowledge is being used in the same sense as it's being used in the we can't
In my
know that
definition?
things. Yeah.
No, I don't think you knew that.
It's
Oh,
okay.
it feels absurd.
Why does that feel absurd?
I knew what computers were, even though I was very mistaken about
Wait, that's
how
not.
they
That's
worked.
not. That's not arguing against my argument. My argument is that you can't know if what you knew was true.
I guess
Why
it's
is that?
supposed to be an intuition pump. If you don't grant that I knew what computers are, even though
Wait,
I
you're
talked about
intuition
them
pump.
all
I'm
the
not
time,
intuition.
or that
You're
I was like,
Ian is intuition. Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were saying I'm intuition pumping.
no, I'm intuition pumping.
Yeah, and that's
it was
fine.
supposed to be an intuition pump. If you don't like share the intuition, that's fine. But I guess that's like strange.
No, I shared in
This
the
feels
same
like
way.
very obvious.
No, I shared in the same way that determinists share the intuition that we have free will, even though they don't believe it. We go about life acting as if we have free will. I go about life acting as if I have knowledge. But if you ask me something about God, no, I don't think I have knowledge. Like these are. Do you understand how these are different concepts?
maybe like you just think it's maybe you're like an idealist about knowledge.
I said I was. Yeah, that's why I asked you.
Okay. I mean, yeah, sure.
No,
Maybe
that's
you
not
want to
why.
describe yourself that way, but listen, I probably gotta get going soon. But I
Yeah, no
guess
worries. I
just
appreciate
like the
the
last
conversation.
like horrendous faith like meme question.
Wait, do you think I was bad faith?
No, no,
Oh,
no, no, no,
okay.
no. But the question I'm about to ask you is,
Yeah.
do you know that God exists?
No.
Even worse question. Do you know that it's wrong to torture babies for fun?
Wait, sorry. No, neither do you guys.
Okay.
Well, I think I do, but
Okay.
sorry.
No, I'm kidding. That guy. I
No, very very chill guy.
he was. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that he's like bad faith. I probably like confused maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know. I mean, if we agree that in the way that everybody else uses the term knowledge, what he's saying is false, and on this like weird proprietary understanding of knowledge, we don't know anything. Like that's fine, but
Yeah.
or that
Yeah.
we don't know that we. But it seems like on that definition of knowledge he gave earlier, it's not just that we don't know that we know; it's that we don't know anything because
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of confusions. But that's okay.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. It was a mess. Ooh. Wait. This guy's like spamming. Maybe I'll do a quick one. Hey, how's it going?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Yep. And what religion?
I'm Muslim
What makes you think God exists?
because I just think like that's the truth.
God, compelling. Do you have like a reason to think that God exists?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a lot of evidence from the past, from the history.
Like what?
Like if you read the book, if you read the Quran, there's a lot of evidence.
I've read the book.
You
What's-
read Quran?
Yeah, it's like very short.
It's not very short, man.
It's like I can pull up. Let's see how long the PDF is. Pointed.
I don't know. Isn't it like 600-ish pages?
I have like a copy of the Clear Quran, and it's like super short.
Maybe the Clear Quran is.
Does the Clear Quran like omit a bunch of stuff? Because I just pulled up the PDF, and it is 600 pages, which is curious. I don't know how the Clear Quran gets it down to so few pages. Maybe it's like omitting a ton of shit, but regardless, like all of the surahs.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it omits like repetitive stuff, or
It must.
I don't know.
Even whoa, that just can't be true. It says it's 400 pages. I think that can't possibly be true. Hold on. Do I just have it on my bookshelf?
It's not 400 pages.
Okay, whatever. But sure. So I read the Quran. But yeah, what from the Quran makes you think that it's true?
Because in the Quran it says Prophet Muhammad split the moon in half, and this like the like, and they found out that like there's a crack in the moon. know,
Does
like
it
there's
go
a
all the
crack
way
in the
around the
moon.
moon? Is
Like-
it like all encompassing for the
It go,
entire
like,
moon?
Yeah, all the way around the moon.
Except it doesn't do that. You just fucking lied. I know the thing that you're referring to. It doesn't do that at all.
Yes, it does. You can search it up.
Okay, let's search it up right now. Cracking the moon.
Search it up.
Yeah, let's see it. What's the name of this crack? It's Is it this one? Is it the
Yeah, I think you.
Yeah,
found
there's
it,
like
man.
there's this like 300-kilometer long one. But no, this isn't like the entire moon. Yeah, check this out. That's not the whole moon. It's pretty long. It's pretty impressive. It's not the whole moon.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. There's
So
like
did
more,
you
more
lie just
evidence
now
with-
or
I didn't lie. That was the truth.
Okay, well I looked it up and it was false. So
I mean, man, that's what the scientists say, man. There was a crack in the moon.
they categorically don't say that there's a crack that encompasses the entire moon. That's just false. But I got a question for you. I mean, you know, if the moon got split in half, why doesn't anyone write it down? Wouldn't you expect like tons of nations to see it and write that down?
What do you mean, like nations and like today?
No. Like ancient
back in the day?
China back in the day, or like ancient Greece.
Okay, Prophet Muhammad split the moon in half to like prove the people that Islam is the truth.
But why wasn't it seen by everyone? Like, wouldn't there be tons of nations?
Because
Like
people
these
back then,
nations that literally
like,
looked at the stars. Like,
people back
wouldn't
then were like,
Greece
they
have
weren't
seen
as
this? Wouldn't Rome
intelligent.
have seen this?
They probably saw it. I don't know, but
Why
they
didn't
weren't
they
as
write it down?
intelligent. I don't know. I don't know why didn't they?
Okay, that's like really that's kind of surprising, right? It's kind of strange, even if the moon got split in half. That's like
I
the
mean, I don't
most
know if that's the
impressive
true
event
story, man, but like I
of their
remember
entire
hearing as
lives.
a kid that like I remember hearing as a kid that moon got split in half. I mean, I don't know if that's the truth, but like I think that's what I heard.
Okay, there's like zero
How did it
evidence for
get back?
that.
How did it get back together? By the power of God.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So Muhammad said abracadabra, and then it split in half, and then he said alakazam, and then it went back together.
Yeah, because God can do anything God wants to.
Yeah. Do you think
Everything
God?
is possible.
Do you think God could microwave a hot pocket that's so hot that he can't touch it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. It can like make something so hot, but it's never gonna be too powerful.
Can you do that?
So that it's never gonna be too powerful that he can't touch it because it's God. He can do anything he
Yeah.
wants to.
Can he do that?
Yeah, he can make something really hot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so God can make the hot pocket that's so hot that he can't touch it, and then he has the power to touch the hot pocket that's so hot that he doesn't have the power to touch it. So he both has the power to touch it and doesn't have the power to touch it. That's a contradiction.
Okay, so just by saying that, you prove that God isn't real.
Yeah.
That's
It's
kind
the
of
strongest atheist argument, you know, totally undefeated to this day. You know, no one's ever overcome
No,
the hot pocket that's
actually,
so hot that nobody or that God couldn't touch it.
actually, a Muslim guy explained that. He explained it, but I don't remember. You can search it up. He
Okay.
explained it.
Well, if you remember his name, I'll type in like Muslim guy explains hot pocket so hot that God can't touch it.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think is gonna happen after that, though?
It's probably going to be similar to before life, you know, non-existence.
Like nothing at all.
Yeah.
So don't that scare you a little?
No.
That don't scare you?
It just frames my life. You know, this is the time that I get. I don't get any time other than this time.
Okay, what if God is real, and if it's real, then you will go to hell? Like,
Yeah.
doesn't that scare you?
Do you know what I'm going to say when I'm in hell?
What?
Ah! 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 Ah!
Yeah, man, that's what you're gonna say. That's what everybody's gonna say in hell.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm hoping. That's why I'm hoping it's not going to be that way. But I mean, you know, it's like pretty unjust, right? You know, the religion isn't obviously true, but I'm going to get tortured for not believing it.
It's not that. You're just like over here dissing God, basically. That's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm about to drop my diss track.
No, like you're just hating on God. That's what I mean.
Grok, drop me a diss track on the Muslim God. Calling it Allah's Mirage. Okay. let's get a beat up in here. I don't know. Do I just go with like the fucking first one? Yo, Allah, the invisible boss in the sky. 7 heavens, 0 receipts. Why you so shy? Promised paradise with virgins and rivers of wine, but your following's blown up buses for the divine. You the moon god remix, pagan roots. The fuck? The dude started talking. What the fuck? Why would he do that? You the moon god remix, pagan roots in the sand. Hubel's cousin with a rebrand couldn't keep it bland. Dictating books through a pedo, prophet in a cave. Aisha was 9, bro. Your math don't add. Behave. Okay, that's
Yes,
yeah,
that was funny, bro. That was funny.
yeah. The Q-top of atheism. Fucking true.
Were you a Christian growing up?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, what made you atheist?
The rock that's so heavy that God can't lift it.
Yeah, just because of that. So you saw a video on TikTok and that, well, yeah, I'm atheist now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro.
Do you have anything else, or
Nah, bro.
okay? Let's read some supers. Andrew, thanks so much for the $75 on Venmo from Andrew Coates from YouTube. I appreciate that. Let's get a big, massive, huge W from Andrew Coates for Andrew Coates. That's pretty incredible. I really appreciate that. I also appreciate you sending it through Venmo. Sending it through Venmo is very helpful because YouTube doesn't take a portion when you send it through Venmo. It's very helpful. I appreciate the heck out of that. Big W for Andrew Coates. Thank you so much. Nakubito Bence, thanks so much for the super chat. Even in a changeless state that has the potential to change, it would still need time to always exist for it to have the potential to change. This was an argument that I was actually just thinking about. I was thinking about this while I was talking to the guy from two fellas ago. Okay, so if all change requires time, how do I want to? Okay, let me pull back up the drawing tablet really quick. Okay. Or wait, I got a Dickens. Okay. Let me go ahead and erase all of this. Or at least all of it that I can. Fuck. God damn it. That's so unfortunate, dude. Okay. I'm gonna have to erase like portions of this. And then I'll have to reshade them in. I should have done this beforehand. That's my bad. Bro, this shit's gonna be like mad laggy, and it's like, fair enough, it's all the highlights, but man, doesn't it just suck to be me? Gosh, I feel like every day I wake up and I say, man, fuck my Baka life. Okay. So there's this argument that I was thinking about with respect to change, specific or like coming into existence, like that sort of change. It seems like there can't be an atemporal moment or an atemporal state of affairs that changes into a temporal state of affairs, just because change is a temporal relation. That, okay, let's say that we have two things. We have A and we have B, and A changes into B. So I don't know, this could be anything that changes, the hot cup of coffee could change into the cold cup of coffee. The firewood could change into the charred firewood. If A changes into B, then both A and B must just be temporal because both of them exist within moments of time. So the reason why change is temporal, change in objects is temporal. Okay, okay, it's writing time. Let's go. Okay, so we have, let's say we have 1 and we have 2, and then we have state 1 changes into state 2. So in state 1, let's say that this state is atemporal, and then that this state is temporal, and then that like a change occurs here. Well, okay, if we have X changes into Y, then X and Y are both temporal. Because X changes into Y is a temporal relation. So, I don't know. Does this make sense? I don't think that it's coherent to say that one is atemporal, because if you have a thing that changes into another thing, then both of those things are temporal because both of them exist at like different moments in reality. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you've related this argument to like the Hartle-Hawking state.
I think that if the Hartle-Hawking state is correct, so if the Hartle-Hawking state is correct, then probably you want to draw a distinction between like physical time and like metaphysical time. Like at that point, so I'm taking like metaphysical time to be something like just like if you went through like all the states of affairs of reality and you just like put them in like a sequence, like there's like some fact about like the sum total state of affairs. But okay, wait, I guess here's like a strange thing. Like the Hartle-Hawking state takes place, like the Hartle-Hawking state would commit you to like the B theory of time.
Yeah.
But then it just sounds like you'd be saying that kind of the entire timeline in that sense is, sorry, let me figure out how I want to articulate this. So, okay. I'm going to move this down. So we got this, and it's just like the entire timeline. You know, whatever. And then let's say that this is like T0. And then before this, we have, you know, we have like goddamn negative I, maybe? I don't know. Negative 2I?
I don't think it's imaginary. It transitions into a spatial dimension.
Okay, I see. I thought it was like imaginary time.
No, I don't think it's imaginary. It's just spatial.
So like the structure
Because
of
if you
space-time
follow that, like,
changes?
yeah, well, it depends how you define change. But if you draw a world line
Yeah.
that is like in the same position and just goes back, you know, like you're winding back the clock all the way to T0. And if you just continue that line further, it starts tracing a line out in space rather than time.
I see. That's interesting. Okay, so
Yeah.
but here's what's going to be the case is that you have like the entire state of affairs, like just the entire thing, the entire state of reality, the entire timeline exists. Even if it changes into like there's just going to be like different states of affairs that are changing into different states of affairs. And that
again, like using the word changing in this context might be like a little misleading. It's a type of like geometric relation between different states. And it's just that, like, when we're in that timeline, we perceive that as a change. But if you were, you know, looking at the whole thing all at once, it's just a connection that satisfies some mathematical relation.
Okay. Sure. I think I talked to Blitz about it once, and he said that it's more like grounding. So, but grounding wouldn't be like, that wouldn't be like change. And it wouldn't even be like causation, even.
Again, I understand those as like a mathematical relation between states.
Sure. I don't know. I think I would need to, well, I think I need to like look into it further, but probably based on what I know so far, I think probably what I'd say or how I would accommodate this is that there's going to be like some facts about like what state of affairs are transforming into what state of affairs, or maybe like the entire like 4-dimensional space-time just always exists. And it's like this 4-dimensional object that always exists. So in that sense, it doesn't make sense to say that like time doesn't exist, because time is just going to be like eternally actual, since the timeline is eternally actual. Even though there are like portions of the space-time that are not temporal, but
maybe you could do like a really weird A and B theory hybrid, where God exists in A theory time and he creates our B theory timeline.
Yeah, I think that would be okay. So that could be, although that would be strange, because then you'd be saying that, well, So, okay, I think like the first immediate problem is that kind of kicks the can down the road to God and his A theory time. Like, where did this time come from? But let's say that they're able to account for it. Then it also has like the weirdness that it seems like this just collapses into one mathematical object, since there's going to be, or maybe it doesn't, because the entire timeline exists. Maybe there isn't a moment that it makes sense to say is like synced up with in the timeline.
What if, this is just a random weird idea, what if you have a God in a timeline, but he's in the act of creating another part of the timeline that he will himself inhabit later at a different point? So it's like a weird loop.
Oh shit, I'm being evil. Molly has to leave soon. Okay, let me go through and read the rest of the super chats. Drove it, thanks so much for the Cool Core membership. Appreciate it. Many Black, thanks so much for the super chat. This dude doesn't know what he's talking about. True, funny, ironic. Mike USA, thanks so much for the super chat. God is not real. Elohim is different things. What? I thought Elohim was God. Okay. Gentleman Viking, thanks so much for the super chat. Joe has it backwards. Thoughts are electrical signals, and biology is just meat computers. Although I think he's saying like, what if? So I think that's like valid to engage with the hypothetical. Does he know that he doesn't know that he knows? I guess not. Bacon and Bush, thanks so much for the super chat. I appreciate the 10 memberships. Thank you. For a minute there, I was like, Eminem changed his hairstyle. Whoa, thanks. Joe White, thanks so much for the super chat. Joe Schmo is confusing the parts generating self for the phenomena of self. Oh, true. Yeah. Yep. No, I agree with that. All right. I think Justin and Blitz are going to be live on the line tonight. Go check it out. All right. Anyway, love all of you. See you all later. See you all tomorrow.